Folks, hello and welcome to the Random Party Generator RPG Live. With me, as you see, every other Friday is none other than Rob Conley, Mr. Bat in the Attic, Black Marsh, many other releases. Yes. And the Evil DM, but not the original Evil DM. And then I guess probably less evil than the original Evil DM is none other than Joe the lawyer.
Wait, so there's another evil DM out there? Asmodeus
Yes,
cannot let that stand. That aggression cannot stand.
yo, it
Where,
isn't
who,
an evil
who's
DM.
doing this?
The Evil DM is Vince Florio and has been for years.
Oh, was he that guy? I remember the tag from somewhere.
Yes,
You're right. I remember that. Was that a Google tag or something? Or where the hell was that from?
it's a YouTube tag too. So you can
Okay.
find the
Okay.
Evil DM is his channel.
Okay. Okay. Now I get it. Uh,
So,
what are we going to talk about tonight, guys? We got big news from Wizards of the Coast, right? Their price gouging. I mean
uh,
adjustments that they're going to do.
well, I mean, they pretty much agreed in their statement that the only reason they're raising the price is the cost of shipping and procurement and increase in paper costs. So
Hmm.
digital doesn't need to increase. So what they're basically saying is over the course of 9 years, uh, their expenses when it comes to uh, paying their creative teams hasn't changed in nine
Yeah,
years.
just all costs. Yeah, because they probably reduced expenses because they got AI writing all their shitty ass books for 'em.
Yeah, so they're basically saying that we haven't given a raise to any of our freelancers, any of our creative staff in nearly a decade. Because if we had, we'd have to increase prices, but we haven't. So it's inconsequential. That put giving them a coffee machine in a break room. That's you know
That's all
Hey,
they
if
get.
you're a freelancer working doing Wizards gig, I would suggest striking on your own and let your voice be heard on your own merit because Wizard ain't going to give you the audience you're looking for.
Mm.
well, and that's true because they don't highlight. Listen, back in the days of original TSR, if somebody worked on a product and they were the main author, their name was on the product, right? If they were on an adventure, you saw who wrote the adventure. If they wrote a rule book, Jeff Grubb, Manual of the Planes, right? You saw his name on the book.
Yep, I was thinking about that,
Doug,
Eric, because I was listening to your show with Bad Mike and Chelinian, and you were talking about all these names on the books. I'm like, damn, they don't have that anymore at all. I
yeah.
couldn't tell you one freaking person who wrote a book. Not one person.
Now, when we were younger, uh, and we didn't have the interwebs and the internet, you could still become a groupie or a fan of certain creatives because you would go, "Oh, Aaron Alston, hey, he wrote was it N4 and great." You learned the writing styles of certain creatives, and you would see their name on the module or on a
Hmm.
book, and you'd be like, "Oh, that's a selling point to me." Now Wizards doesn't want you to know who's because you don't know the names of any of these people. I saw who Wizards is sending to Gamehole in the fall in October, and there wasn't one creative. I mean, listen, there are some names you know because you see them being the face of the D&D brand, but the creatives on these
Mm.
teams,
Yeah,
who the fuck knows who they are?
freelancers. I mean, that's probably all they are.
But
And then I,
the creatives are listed in the credits, but they're not on the cover like they used to be. I'm looking
Right. What's it
on
saying?
Amazon right now, and
yeah,
none of them. And on Amazon, they always say "by Dungeons and Dragon author." So, and
Yeah.
then to follow the author, the Wizards RPG team.
So I mean that is yeah, it's pretty shitty. And yes, Don would know. Uh, actually, Don, remind me at North Texas. Hopefully, I'll remember who I wanted you to meet when it comes to this stuff. But that's all. Uh, Don can vouch for the price of paper going up a lot.
mm,
He prints games. He has his own uh, printing arm, including for board games. And because for him, it went up about 25%. It's a serious increase. And here's the thing with Watsy. All right, remember Watsy is using Chinese printers. I mean, a lot of companies do. It's the same printers that usually print textbooks.
Yeah.
If you want quality stuff, Frog God has one printer over in China that prints textbooks, and that's why the Frog God hardcovers are like damn near bulletproof. But
Yeah, Wizard sucks.
Wizards isn't going for the highest quality; they're
No.
going for the best bang for the buck.
Mm-hmm.
When I did yesterday's video about the price increase, a lot of the comments were, if they're going to increase the prices by 20%, are they going to increase the quality of the paper and the binding?
No, because that's the shit. I mean, my first one I got, I had to return. Or I don't think I returned it. I just had to take a picture of it because it was so flawed. It fell apart really fast. That was the one with the original, now banned, contributors in it, right? So I still got that book laying around somewhere.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, gosh,
yeah.
yes.
So that
That
fell apart.
that horrible team of miscreants.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
I
got all
have
that.
it.
You got it somewhere? Does it fall apart, Rob? I mean, for me, it was the binding that went to
I
shit.
don't know, Joe. I mean, I think I need your expert opinion here. Let me
I got
check.
when you compare that to something like Jeff Talanian's book, Jeff Talanian's book is like an old World Book Encyclopedia level binding and print and like that thing.
I
That's
don't
like,
know, Joe. Does it look together to you? I mean,
wow, a little problem there, huh?
yeah, it fell apart. It fell apart hard. But I got they exchanged it. I mean, or they didn't exchange it. I told them, send them a.
Yeah,
They had me take a picture, and I got a new
yeah,
book.
that's what I had to do too. And I told my brothers, hey, wait a minute, get like take the same picture about a month and I'll send it in. They'll probably you get another free book. I don't think he did it though. What the hell, I had to do the
Well,
same thing. Take a picture, send it in.
Additional contributors: Kim Mohan, blah blah blah.
By the
Lord.
way,
And
Paul, every weekend is a long weekend for me, but yes, thank you.
that is nice. Can't wait to retirement if I ever get there. So I
Hey,
keep playing Lotto. You know? I might have won already. Get this, stupid ass Connecticut, right?
uh,
Upgraded their. I buy a few tickets every week and I check them on Friday. Now they upgraded their stupid scanning thing to see if you win, right? And it's not retro. You can't check older tickets. I'm like sitting here like, why can't I check this out? There's a bug. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do now? I could be a billionaire, but I still got to freaking go to work on Tuesday after the weekend. I don't know, right? I could have won. I could have won the big money.
you
I
gotta
don't
look
know
it
yet.
up, man. You gotta look it up manually.
Oh, who the hell does that anymore? Who the hell come on? I want to scan it and go. What kind of bug is that? You can't check old tickets.
So now this one that Rob will appreciate. According to Dave, Freely glued the Middle Earth map to the inside back cover of the rulebook with a dab of hot glue type gum. Ripped the book cover.
Damn.
No, it didn't rip the book cover, but it ripped the map for me.
Oh, okay. Well, ripped the book cover for Dave. He showed me the other night.
It's I this time I can't do a show and tell on it. It's behind the the cover graphic behind my thing, and I'm not going to go digging for it. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed. That was a little bit too tough, too good of a glue for the map. Especially, I think they shrink wrap it. Dave, didn't they shrink wrap the thing?
I
I'm
think
not
it
too
was.
sure what the point of the
It
glue was.
was. Yeah, they said it. They shrink wrapped it, and yet they still glued the map. I'm guessing at some point they weren't going to shrink wrap it, and then they go, "Oh yeah, let's shrink wrap it," and forgot to say, "Don't bother gluing it." It's just an extra step that. Dave goes, "Yeah, he saved the map. We probably saved the better part, but I still wouldn't want that internal scuff." Yes, so gluing it was pointless.
Yeah. Yeah, that's difficult. So these people went to work for Wizards of the Coast, apparently. After that faux pas. But now,
You
I mean,
know,
if Wizards, think about this, Eric. If Wizards had a stable of people who grew a name for themselves, they have to pay them more, right? So they don't want
right?
that, or they would go off on their own because it's so easy to do that now. So they don't want to create their own competition.
Right. They
So
don't want people to be known. Who's
yeah,
this guy?
yeah, it doesn't help them at all to have people who are well known, right? So they they farm it out to random people, different ones every time, and it's like the WWF did. Remember, once
Mhm.
people they used to own their own name. Isn't that what who's not Hulk Hogan, the other guy who was a Navy SEAL, with Jesse the Body
Yeah, but,
sued Wizards? They sued Wizards. They sued the WWF
right.
because basically he says you use my name and I own that. You don't own that, and you put it in various videotape releases of the various WrestleManias, and so he won millions of dollars from them because that was his name and his likeness. And so they want to, your name is worth something.
Yeah, but
Basically.
here's the thing: is Hulk Hogan had to actually license Hulk from Marvel Comics.
No way, really?
Yeah, I remember. At least that's how I remember it.
Wow.
As I guess in my 20s,
Oh
before
shit.
the internet, I heard that story that he had to license using Hulk as his name because it was Marvel Comics, and I guess they were claiming similarity because it was entertainment.
Damn, that's ridiculous. But hey, he made it. I'm sure whatever he licensed it for, he made pretty good on it. You know,
Oh yeah,
he probably made the most out of anybody. But you see those old. Every once in a while, I used to watch his Hulk Hogan live with the Family Show, that screwed up show that he had going on. That dude was fucked up. His back. I mean, he had I don't know how many surgeries on his back. It was just like a disaster. He had scars. He was achy. He could barely walk. I'm like, holy shit, man. Jesus, this guy, was it worth it? You know?
well, but people like Hulk Hogan don't just do it for the money; they do it for the fame. They're
Yeah,
addicted to the notoriety and
yeah.
and being known and all that shit.
Hmm.
And for some people, that's as much important as the monetary compensation.
Yeah, the
So it's
ego.
like, what's all the back issues if everybody knows who I am? Everybody knows Hulk Hogan when I walk down the stairs.
Well, let's
Hmm.
face it. Professional wrestling is a form of entertainment, and
Yeah,
people like to be entertainers.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's
And it's
true.
the same thing with politicians. It's all about the ego. It's not about it's more ego than anything, I think. Yeah. So anyway, you had another video recently, Eric, right? Talking about Wizards of the Coast and how they're going to fuck us over. How,
Uh,
and how could I name how many videos? Which one was that?
okay, well, yeah. Yesterday's video also touched on Wizards of the Coast at the end of it doing like a bit of an info dump on their sales figures
Hmm.
and talking about the great profit that they made until you look at the profit for the first quarter of this year. And they don't give you they don't give you the numbers for last year's first quarter, but they
Yeah.
give you last year's total, and
Hmm.
they're trending right now to be about, I don't know, 38%, nearly 40%
Yeah.
less than last year's
Hmm.
totals, which actually probably isn't all that bad for a company that is rebooting its current edition, but it's not a new edition, right? They keep on saying it's still 5e.
Well,
It's
I mean, I wonder how much the OGL hurt it because us, the people, we're what, the 5%, right? The people who talked about this and
right.
watch YouTube videos. I mean, we're a negligible piece of the pie, and I think that we have a grand sense of our own importance sometimes because the average schmuck just plays D&D. He doesn't know anything about that scandal, the OGL. He just wants to play his damn game with his friends as if it's a game of cards that get
All
together.
right. Well,
I
here,
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's not. Of course, I don't think like Doug Cole put it in that one when he was on the show. It's not like you hear the people sing kind of deal. But I'm involved with a group every other Friday when we don't have our podcast that's a pretty hardcore. Let's just play D&D 5e raw, rules that's written. They
right.
even used the one DM in their group. It's a campaign they have now. They even used uh, what's the current organized play program called?
Oh, Encounters, is it? No. The hell is I forget. Yeah.
Adventures League.
Adventures
Yeah,
League. Yeah,
Adventures
yeah.
League. So he even used, the campaign is basically an Adventures League, and they know about it. They're not looking to do their own thing like maybe you or I would, but they are considering Pathfinder and looking at alternatives.
So, I mean, this is the way. Again, we are obviously wired in. We're on this show. We're on this live stream, but I get some good stories when we do the Thursday night Discord because there are some regulars that come in, and it's nice to hear from them because yeah, they're wired in, but when they have kids that play that aren't as wired in, and they're talking and they're like, this guy Michael goes to one of his daughters who walked in, I guess as we were doing the hangout, and he's like, hey, and it's during the OGL thing, and she plays in a regular group, doesn't play with her father. They don't really talk gaming that much. He's like, hey, did you hear anything about the OGL? She goes, oh, the open game license, that 1.1 fiasco where they screw everybody. He's like, well, yeah, because and she was like 19, 20. So she doesn't watch the videos, but they were talking about it at her game table. Now, I will say this, all right? my views during the OGL, listen, if I have a video that does, I don't know, 2,000 views in 2 or 3 days, that's really strong.
Yeah, you blew up, dude. You blew up in the OGL. I was coming up on your ass, and I was almost there, subwise. And then we're like, shit, he like hit the orbit.
Yeah, I had videos that were hitting 30,000 because they were getting, they were hitting the YouTube, the formula, the secret sauce. And they were getting picked up because the OGL was very popular, everybody was checking into it. I was getting those number of views. Others were getting hundreds of thousands of views. Yeah. So yes, people were paying attention. People were watching. I think that what WotC was hoping, and obviously hasn't fully happened, is that people would forget. Now, it's kind of
Can I say something about the group that I was involved with? It was obviously that out of the 7, with me, there was up to 7 people potentially involved. Out of the 7, maybe 2 were definitely followed gaming news. One was semi-aware of it, although I wouldn't call him a fanatic about it.
Rob, were they DMs? Because I was wondering if DMs would have a higher rate of knowing about this shit than players.
Well, the DM knew about it. Yes, he was one of the 3. The other one is the friend who invited me. He followed me, and because of he followed me, he listened to your stuff, and so he heard the scoop, so forth and so on.
So, I mean, listen, we step into the real world right now. Wizards of the Coast is probably thanking God that when they stepped into it, and their recovery was far from perfect. They're still suffering from it. They didn't do a Bud Light, okay, where you have to give away. There isn't like a rebate for like $50 on your player's handbook.
Yeah.
Buy your player's handbook, get your money back, type of deal, because the attention given to it to some extent was siloed. To some extent, they were able to recover, and they played it. They played it with the, if we lie, and I don't want to say lie, maybe it's too strong a word. If we gaslight enough, people will start to forget some aspects of what we really did and conflate it and get confused. And by the time our next, 5.0 revised, reviled, resurrected, reconstituted, however you want to call 2024's D&D release, they're realizing, I think, is what we're seeing, is that they can't do what they intended to likely do, which was, hey, we're going to make X number of player handbooks, X number of monster manuals, X number of DMGs. We're going to box them up. We're going to, you can buy them in a collector's edition for your bookshelf, and you'll get the digital copies with it. And they probably had all these plans, and then they did this bullshit with the OGL, and it was like, oh fuck. And we had a promise outwardly that this edition is not a change; it's still 5e. So realistically, now, and they're claiming that, and I've had discussions, sometimes heated, with 5e players that insist to me that classes are not part of the rules. Classes are
not. Actually say that?
Yeah. Classes are not part of the rules. They're part of the fluff.
Kind of morons are these.
Well,
They'll say that.
I agree. Okay, so I think the list for an RPG, you brought this up in chat, talking about rules complexity and stuff. So this kind of relates to that as well. But the list, the classes, the monsters, the equipment, the magic items, those can be fairly malleable in to change the feel of the game. But it does change the feel of the game.
Oh yeah.
But here's the thing: if you want to create a community of creatives around your game, and you don't want to have everybody write their own supplement, then the core classes, especially like the fighter, magic user, thief, and cleric, need to be stable. And how they're structured needs to be stable. Otherwise, the supplement that you put out last year may not sell the next year when you decide to give an epic boon at 20th level instead of the final class power that they had in the current version. And I looked at their playtest, and they subtly change how classes get different abilities, and to, I would say, a third of the buyers out there, that matters. That any class that doesn't follow that, any supplement that doesn't follow that progression, it's immediately wrong. It's bad. It's obsolete. Right or wrong, that's the attitude they're going to take.
But it makes a lot of sense because, Rob, I take my fighter from the 2014 rulebook. All right, and I have my third level fighter built by the rules, and I take my fighter from the 2024 rulebook, and I make a third level fighter and build it by the rules. Are they going to be comparable in power? No.
It'll be like
they are. They're going to be comparable in power.
Yeah, they're moving powers up in.
Yeah, they're scaling it up, Rob.
I mean, as it is right now, it is a comparable. What they did do was they shuffled around how all the starting abilities that you get, instead of being just limited to a background and a what you get from your race package, they took all that, but numerically it's still the same.
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be at the end of the day, Rob.
I know, it's right there, Joe. You can read it yourself, tally up what you have at the end of the first level character creation, and see what you have under the old and the new, and it's the same.
We'll see. We'll see. I'll be curious, but I think I'd be willing to bet that 2 5th level fighters, one from 2014 and one from 2024, the newer one is going to just beat the crap out of it. It'll be like a new Batman from the new Batman movies versus that 1960s Batman. It's going to be that kind of a fight, I think.
Well, they never.
Well, that's not borne out about the current. That's not born in the current playtest they're proposing. It starts to kick in after 6th level. Things start to change.
Yeah.
The transition between around 10th level, it's subtly different across many classes, and what you get on the final levels is subtly different, especially the final level. They want to give everybody epic boons, which is an optional rule under the current version.
What do you guys think of this? Go ahead, Eric.
Well, here's the thing, though. Since the classes are really where the changes are going to happen, do you really need the new DMG or the Monster Manual? Really?
No.
I mean,
no.
So, and I think that's the issue now. Now that the cat's out of the bag, now that they're telling, they even say in the article, well, you can still use your old DMG and your old. Well, then why are you going to buy it, right? If you're somebody who plays D&D as a diversion, and especially you're a player, most of these players are only buying the core books anyway, or. Well, all right, whatever. Mordenkainen's latest injunctive ass because it's got a few extra rules for magic users that were thrown in that only place you can find it is in this book, which is what they kind of do.
Injunctive ass. That sounds like a vicious condition. Like I wouldn't want to get injunctive aciditis.
It sounds like a 4th level spell, actually.
Right?
I think it's at nearly name level. It's like, dude. Mordenkainen's conjunctive ass on you. Yeah, and dude, I haven't been able to adventure in weeks. It's been been rough.
More fiber, buddy. More fiber. What do you guys think of Kobold Presses? I know we all agree that the stupidest fucking name ever, Valiant, whatever the hell it's called. But
Tales
the Black
of the
Flag,
Valiant.
Tales of the Valiant.
What do you think it's going to be like? Valiant.
I haven't backed it. You know, I
It's going to
imagine
be somebody's some very different household take on 5e.
Yeah, yeah. You know what's
And,
interesting is they're not putting out a DMG. They're just putting a Monster Manual PHP. That's it. No DMG. On their Kickstarter, at least. I don't know. There's something coming
Yeah, no,
later.
they're not. I don't think they are, and I think their feeling is, again, if you're going to run this, you'll probably already have the DMG from 5e. You don't need
Yeah,
us to tell you how to play the game,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's not like when we started playing it. You need the DMG. That's where the combat charts are and the saving throws, and without
yeah.
that, I see
Mm-hmm.
that. Honestly, once you had a DM screen, did you really pull the DM's guide out of your bag when you were running a
No,
game? No.
only
no.
when I did prep or anything like that.
Right. You didn't eat at the table. Everything was on the DM screen. And I think that, on some level, they knew that. That's why the screen came out later. Because they didn't want to give it away. And it's like, oh, you only have to spend $10 and not, or $8 and whatever they was giving you. But
Oh,
Joe
guys,
just
because I thought I'd show you something here. I got to get rid of the background to do so. Got something in the mail today, boys and girls,
he's gonna whip
from
something out.
these
Oh,
folks. All right. Did you guys
well,
back this?
I don't know
Mine
which one
came
is it.
today.
Hey,
Oh,
there you go.
nice.
Quick reference card. So we got the book. All right. You know what? This is probably easier. I'll do it like this. Yeah. There we go. All right. Maybe I have to turn the camera like this, huh?
Ah.
You're making us dizzy, Joe.
I am.
You're
I'm getting
lucky
myself busy. I've
Oh,
lost all track of where the hell it is. All right, I'll just pull it up. There we go. So it comes in a book with all the characters, right? And just give you an idea of the format here. It's a tough book to. That's one thing. That it's a tough book to hold open. It's really firm binding. But other than that, it's pretty good. And so you get a little bit about the personality. You get the name. I think this looks like old school Essentials style. Okay. So you get a quick one page, and it looks like it goes up for every class. Like the beginning classes, you get first level guys, and near the end, you're talking fifth or sixth level guys. So this is I was going to think about doing unboxing, but you know what? I'm doing a live thing right here. So it's pretty good. And then we got this box full of cards over here.
Now the
All right.
cards
So
are where it's at. That's what you're going to be using at the
I
table.
think so. I think so. Because check this out. I haven't opened them yet, but it's each character, and believe it or not, I mean, it's even for our old eyes, it's not that hard to read. You know, he didn't do baseball card size cards, so it's not bad. I haven't untaped them yet, but he got 2 stacks of cards here, all for the guys. And there's a picture. Look at that. I didn't even notice that. All right, look at that, man. Good job. Hey, each person has a different picture. Holy shit. Very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
so he first did those cards and the book style for the fantasy trip. We had a
Okay.
long tradition of doing stuff like that. And then
Yeah.
when people
done.
responded to his first OSE Kickstarter, he started making plans to do Kickstarters around OSE versions of the stuff he did with TFT. He did the solo adventures first, and now
Yeah.
he's doing the MPT character cards.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty thick book too.
That's what I got here. I got
Pretty
the
good
solo
book.
adventures.
Gotta say.
I gotta-
I'm
actually
happy
gotta
with it. You can make use of this at the table real fast for a pickup game. You know, it's pretty nice. All right, I'll
Yeah,
put
you
the
can't
camera
see
back
it.
now.
You can't see it in our Roll20 game, but I make cards too. I can print index cards on my printer, and when I'm going to have NPCs that I use over and over again, I make cards for them and keep them set.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Set
We're all
here
showing
on this shelf.
Yeah, you got a better camera than me. Mine sucks. I can't twist the whole head of it like that.
Oh, nice.
It just has one direction to swivel. Otherwise, I have to go like that.
Let me see. I'm put my background up there again. There we go. All right, there we
go.
We'll see. Wait, wrong background. Wait.
We'll see James next week.
I know. I'm looking forward to it. Not his ass with the dice bag on it, but yeah, just looking forward to meeting him.
Oh, come on! No, don't show that picture of James.
I don't want you to get too excited, Rob. I know.
Well, since we're doing show and tell.
Don't show us, Rob.
I did character generation for Greg's Traveler campaign last
I see you.
Saturday, and I have the PDF of this, but I generally like to buy the core rules for the latest version of Traveler. I'm a Traveler fan, and it went really well. I mean, this basically the character generation is basically like classic Traveler, but they add stuff to it, so now it's pretty interesting. So, in addition to your survival, commission, and promotion rolls every term, you have events that could happen to your character, and they could give you benefits, or they could make your career spiral out of control, and you can wind up a prisoner, and they got a prisoner career.
Did you
Or you
die
get
upon generation, Rep? Like
no,
as
no.
famously.
I went into the Navy. I successfully went into the Naval Academy. I was commissioned an officer. I went 6 terms in the Navy, and I must have my last term. I had to muster out because something I did a mission and it went like Top Gun Maverick. It just shit crashed. I was blamed for it, but I wasn't court-martialed, so I was honorably discharged. And then they must have liked me so much because when I mustered out, I rolled +2 social twice, and I am a Duke.
Nice, man. Nice. Now,
Nice.
if you good thing you're in the Navy, because if you had been in the Army for 28 years or something like that, you would have been killed by a ladder. So that's a good thing.
Oh, oh, oh.
Ah. Oh God. Oh jeez. I'm watching on the other screen here, watching this. I'm behind. I'm just seeing my own shaky cam. I get myself dizzy there. Jesus Christ. Man. So you guys are not going to back this Valiant, whatever the hell the Valiant thing.
Listen, I've been following Wolfgang's stuff since very early Kobold Press.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing crowdfunding before crowdfunding was a thing. He had I forget what it was. It was a dwarven adventure thing
Yeah.
that I backed way in the beginning. And then, of course, there was Kobold Quarterly. So
Yep.
even when I
Yes,
wasn't
I remember
doing
that. I remember that.
3E, it was a really great resource.
Yeah.
So Wolfgang tends to publish really good stuff. And his setting material is good. Even published some of it for Swords of Wizardry back in the day. Well, Mythgard. But
His Tome of Beasts, the first one I have, I have a ton of different like monster books, for lack of a better word. I got monstrosities, I got 5th edition foes, I got Tome of Beasts, Tome of Horrors Complete, Tyrannic Tome. Oh, remember that Tyrannic Tome? That was a good one. I got all these various monster books, including some from No Name shit. And Tome of Beasts 1, I gotta say, is the best monster book that I own.
really,
And you could use it. You could I mean, any old school guy can convert a 5e thing down
oh
to
yeah,
old school. But if you're talking 5th edition, it's an excellent book. The monsters are unique. They're interesting. They're creative. It's not just more of the same with added stat bonuses and shit. You know what I mean? It's not the same old, just repackaged. It's kind of really good and creative stuff. So I'll give him credit for that. And that's why I was vaguely interested in this RPG, even though I don't play 5th edition. If nothing else, if he's that creative with monsters, I figure he might be a little bit more creative within the bounds that he can be with a 5e clone that I might be able to steal shit from. So that's the only reason I would get it, is just to steal shit from it, possibly.
Well, here's the thing though. But like Wolfgang is doing to 5e what Pathfinder
Oh
did
yeah.
to 3e, most assuredly. And that
Yep.
one's that. Listen, if they change the power levels in 5e forever, 5e reviled, I mean, it's like going from 5 to 5.1, whereas Wolfgang is going from 5 to at least 5.25, if not 5.5. So will your old material work with it? Probably
Maybe.
ish.
Yeah. Ish. Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Exactly. Ish. That's
but
just enough.
yeah. Now I haven't checked.
Got to be
Uh,
6 or 8 now, right? I bet you. I
what
bet 6 or 7. I bet you about 7. I bet you he hit 7.
he hit 709.
Did he? Okay. All right. I checked a little earlier yesterday. It was in the 60s. So
So
yeah.
here's the thing: I was expecting $1 million out of the gate.
Really?
That if you had asked me to be a betting man, especially after the enormous Kickstarter that Shadow Dark did.
Well, I think that Kelsey. I think that what she ended up with was, it's a good product. This is not to dismiss the quality of the product, but she had the good timing, the good fortune, had the timing where everybody was so in this fuck you Wizards of the Coast mood that they're like, fuck you, I'm going to spend my money somewhere. And here, this looks like a great thing. And by the way, the salesperson has a 19 charisma. I'm going to buy that goddamn thing. You know what I mean? And so
Right.
it's a great product. Not to dismiss anything about the quality of the product, but she was at the right place at the right time. And
Oh,
I think a lot of people did their angry buying. You know what I mean?
I understand that, but here's the thing: Cobalt Press is uh, essentially the premier third-party publisher of 5e material.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. I mean, for a lot of games, and I've spoken to 5e players, for a lot of games, if it's Cobalt Press, it's considered official. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
how they view it. It's
Yep.
balanced. And Wolfgang has friends that are within WotC, people that he knows, which is why I think he was surprised by how this OGL fiasco went down.
Yeah.
Um, and he honestly, my sources, this whole orc license, this whole breakaway from supporting the official 5e line, that was really contingent upon Wolfgang and how Wolfgang played his cards in the end. He was the last holdout as to whether he was going to sign on to a modified
Really?
OGL or not.
Huh.
And once he decided to play his own cards, not play Wizards cards, play his own, everything fell into place for everybody else. I think that's all coalesced. So as much as Paizo was pushing the Orc license and Eric Mona, I think Wolfgang and Cobalt Press were the ones that allowed other companies to say, yeah, we're not going to support 5e.
Okay.
And a lot of them are supporting Cobalt Press. And they're
Yeah.
supporting it within the Kickstarter. Frog God Games / Necromancer, they're coming under both labels.
Yeah.
They are putting their feet firmly in the path of Tales of the Valiant. I want to say
Yeah.
Tales of Prince Valiant every time I say that shit.
I know.
I am sorry.
Yeah, that's not the best title in the world.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Speaking of Necromancer, Garrick, I threw this out there in our group text about a week ago, and I wasn't quite sure that the answer ended up being Tome of Essential Horrors by Necromancer Games. Necromancer Games, are they part of Frog God still, or did
Yes.
that go with?
No. Necromancer. Here's my history lesson might be a little bit off, but here's how I remember it.
Okay.
Necromancer Games was formed by Bill Webb and Clark Peterson,
Okay.
the judge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nevada, right? He's a Nevada lawyer judge or something, right?
Yeah, he was a judge at some point.
And that was new game, old school feel, new school game, or some shit.
Right.
Wasn't
That
that
was
their
their
motto?
way of publishing older school feeling material for 3E under the open game license. Okay. And it was I never asked for the details, but they were I believe they were under White Wolf, like White Wolf did the distribution at the time. So, but Necromancer Games was they had material in bookstores, in Walden Books, in Barnes and Noble. They were out there. Then, when Clark decided he no longer wanted to be involved in the publishing business, but he didn't want to give up his rights to Necro, which he owned half the time. Bill formed Fraud God Games.
Oh.
Then,
Okay. So Frog Guy was a divorce of Necro.
well, Frog God was like an offspring, yeah.
Yeah.
So then, Bill, I believe, bought out Clark later on, and that's how they brought back the Necromancer.
Necro. Okay.
So they are, I believe, they're actually two separate corporate entities, but
Okay.
they are owned under the same people and their sister companies.
That makes sense.
And if
That's
I
how
got
you
any of
do
that wrong,
two
I'm sure
Kickstarters.
Bad Mike will fucking correct me.
And that's how you do two Kickstarters at once. From what I understand, one entity can't have two Kickstarters going. You got to fulfill one and start the other. But with this thing, you've got a different imprint, essentially, in publishing parlance, right? So you
Right.
could have two different Kickstarters running at once. Now, this is Tome of Essential Horrors, 100 monsters, as well as an OSC stat block, B&W art, counter description. We're up to 18.6 right now. Now, Do you know? I mean, is this the basic standard 100 monsters, or is this something like if I have Tome of Horrors already, do I
Yeah,
need this?
if you have Tome of Horrors and Monstrosities, these are all monsters that have been published prior by Frog God Games.
Okay.
All right, they are rewritten with new art,
Okay.
new layout, and if it's successful, they'll be doing a lot more material of this type of stuff for OSE.
All right.
But if you have like Monstrosities, I love Monstrosities and Tome of Horrors because
Yeah.
each entry gave you basically an adventure seed.
Yeah,
That,
it was nice. It was nice.
and you can just read that and go, "Hey, this one inspires me. I have a whole evening planned out now with this."
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm going to
Um,
be contrary. I like Matt Finch's monster book the best. It's to the point, tells you everything you need to know the monster.
well, it's
Uh,
Monstrosities. That's not saying
no,
anything.
that's not monstrosity. It's the monster book.
Oh, his original monster book.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's about.
Is that a-
I'm
is
not
it-
going to go get it, but it's over there. It's a lot thinner than
You're wearing a
monstrosity.
tidy whities again, aren't you, Robbie? To get up and you have to show us. That's okay.
I'm not
Ooh.
wearing my tidy whities.
Ooh, that's a tacit admission.
But-
You wear
but-
tidy
but-
whities, though. Did you catch that, boys? That was a lawyer trick. All right, continue.
But he didn't
All right, you
direct
asked
the
for it.
answer. Just his lack of an answer does not mean it's an answer. But
Your Honor.
now Monstrosities was actually put together before Matt joined Frog God. Monstrosities was actually crowdsourced, if I recall correctly,
Okay.
and it was done by the Swords and Wizardry community under the leadership of Matt Finch. So there was a prior monster book. I'm guessing maybe you can get it on Lulu still. Oh, Mike says I was pretty good.
All right. Yeah, I'd never heard of the monster book that Rob was talking about.
Yeah. Rob's bringing it out of storage right now.
I hear it moving around.
He's
he has
printing
crates.
up a fresh copy just so he's sure.
He has crates right now in digest size. You're gonna print it at digest size, as he does. But take it off. Oh God, Mr. Gunn is getting a little worked up here. Mr. Gunn has his gun out, I think. Anyway,
Rob, don't take it off. I've already seen a James Bond topless. I can't go through it again.
Okay, so this is monstrosity.
Yes.
It is a monstrosity.
It's a big book. Yeah, I got a
Yeah, it's a
book.
big
it is
book.
a big
And it's nice. It has the adventure seed. But
Yeah.
when I'm sitting down and stuff, this is what I use: the monster book.
I know.
Short,
I've
to
never
the
seen
point,
that, Rob.
has everything that this has.
That's on Lulu, if I recall correctly, or it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I must have gotten this back in 2010, 2009. Even.
Yeah. Mike is saying it's early Mythmere games, and then Monstrosities was, I believe, crowdsourced by the Sword and Wizard community under
Okay.
Matt's leadership.
Yeah, it's not like I haven't used it. You see my ad hoc bookmarks here.
Yeah. No, it's a good book. There's a few that I like. I mean, the Tome of Horrors Complete. That was a great book. That was a fantastic. They
Oh
got
my
the Swords and Wizardry version. I mean, that thing will stop a freaking tank bullet shot at you. That thing
Nothing
is
beats
massive.
Hero System 5th Edition. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've never seen that one.
There's even a video showing how it could stop a bullet. They ran tests.
TXG, you are bringing up an interesting question. I have a copy somewhere of Fantasy Wargaming by Bruce Galloway.
Is that 80s release?
That was the one that you got with the Science Fiction Book Club. That was usually one of the options that you could get, and I got it, and I looked at it, and I went, "What the fuck is this shit?" And
Did this guy ever play that system? I would really like to get this guy on and say, "Hey, Bruce, did you actually try to use this in a campaign? Did your players actually enjoyed it?"
well, and his name probably isn't Bruce anymore. It's probably going to be David. That's the reason why they changed the Hulk's name to David, because Bruce was too, 70s Disco Inferno.
Yeah. Well, plus the Hulk theme too. Bruce Banner, David Banner. I mean, that's if you're gonna go, if you're gonna go to Bruce, you got to go to David.
He got
You Hulk out.
You got it. Is it time to geek out yet? Like the Peter David run of the Hulk, where he explained, It's David Bruce Banner or something like that. It's like,
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Are you bitching about? Oh gosh. Okay.
Huh? Bruce
What?
The
died.
Incredible Hulk series. The fact they changed the guy's name.
I remember
Yeah.
Bruce Banner and David Banner. Yeah, that was a big deal to me. I was very
Yeah,
confused, Rob.
yeah.
Very
That was
confused.
the TV series changed it, and then the back in I guess the '90s when Peter David was writing the Hulk, he tried to explain Bruce David Banner. It's the same guy. It's just one's his middle name. It's like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
So
We've
when
all gotten that
he was on
nerd.
TV, he's like, I'm not going to be Bruce. What about Bruce Lee? Come on, it all works.
I saw a video of Bruce Lee fighting using nunchucks against two guys, and he was playing ping pong with the nunchucks. And I was like, son of a bitch, this guy's amazing. Speaking of which, he's amazing. I mean, that this level of skill and coordination makes me believe that monks can be a viable class in D&D. I've always banned monks, but then you see something like what Bruce Lee does. It's like, holy shit,
Well,
holy shit.
monks
Why do you
became
think Monk was got added in the first place?
The Kung
You
Fu
know, Kung
series.
Fu.
Yeah,
yeah.
Bruce Lee.
yeah,
They became viable around like level 7 or 8.
yeah.
Before
And
that,
don't get me started on the katana. Everybody thought it was a wonder sword.
but it's so
Good.
sharp.
Yeah.
It's a long sword that does a D10 damage, man. Come on, it's so sharp.
Only if it was a Ginsu brand katana. That's the only time. Then you could really cut tin cans and then heads off at the same time with no problem. Bruce Lee
Well,
was
traditionally made, katanas had the same advantage as Damascus steel. So, just same technology built, invented in two different places.
I do they even know how Damascus steel? Have they figured that out yet? How they actually did it? The legit process.
Yeah,
I know it
it's
was
a folding
transmissed.
process in high carbon steel.
Yeah, that's all it was. I thought there was some other secret that they couldn't figure out about Damascus steel.
No, they know how Damascus
Is it?
steel is
Okay.
handled.
Yeah, I never played the monks that much though. I didn't like them. They were at low levels, you sucked ass, and then higher levels, yeah. You just wanted to play it so you get that death touch. Remember that thing? You could kill them. You touch them on the neck like the Vulcan
Finger
death
of
grip,
death.
and finger of death, and then like a week later you can snap your fingers and a mofo dies. That was like that. That'd be. We have like 17th level though.
I
You
set up the
build.
vibrations within your body
Yeah.
that will make your body self-destruct. Your
Oh,
heart will stop. Yeah,
you can set off vibrations in a body. You can sell that service for a good price in certain areas of the underbelly of the city, if you know what I mean. That'd be pretty
yeah.
good. Quivering palm, you got it. Bad Mike. Quivering palm, yes.
There you go. Sorry, Oh, finger of death is it's actually a spell or something like that. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Yep. God. But how the hell did we get there? Any idea? It's been
How
an
we got to
hour,
move?
48 minutes, and I don't know how the hell we got where we're at. Did we ever do? Did we ever know?
No. This is. It's not even a hex crawl. All right. It's just a sample. This isn't. We're not calling out hex numbers. We're just like, holy shit! Where did we get over here?
Yeah. No, it's like an ADHD group meeting. It's really,
I got my coin.
much it.
I got my ADHD coin. I go through a 12-step program, but I
Yeah.
restart every time around 6 or 7.
Yep. We got a ton of new for 1-day coins.
Yeah, Mike's saying the monk class was a stupid class. Mike, you missed the argument about monks and magic items because it says they can use all thieves items, but then they can't use like certain magic items, and people are like, well, potions aren't listed, so therefore they can't use potions.
So how old is Bad Mike, by the way, Eric?
I think he's your age, like 60-ish.
Oh,
Mike, you disappoint me. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of martial arts movie, but you grew up the same time, and I did. You know the deal with the monk. You know it. I mean, it was there all the time. Half your friends probably geeked out about the latest kung fu stuff.
Rob, you just missed the insult Eric threw your way. He says about your age, 60.
I'm 57.
Are you 57?
Oh.
You old fuck. I didn't know you're that old. Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit. You better sit. You got a walker yet? You better sit. Just relax. Man. Don't get up like that too much. All right. You don't want to fall and break a hip. Jesus Christ. We don't
I
need
still
that.
beat your ass come this
Oh,
fall.
it's
so
not
let's
coming.
just
I
cut
was
It's
this
right.
not
out.
happening.
Mike-
It's not happening.
Mike is 60. Every class
Yeah.
was some kind of half-assed quasi-medieval token ripoff, and then they threw the monk in to please the kung
Please,
fu
the Kung
fans.
Fu fans. Yeah.
You betcha, Mike.
I love those shows, man. The 80s. Eric, we had it every Saturday afternoon, Channel 5, right? Remember that? Every Saturday afternoon, 3
And
o'clock,
sometimes
4 o'clock.
WAB 43, Channel
Yeah.
11.
Yep.
for us, occasionally, also the 4:30 movie on Channel 7.
Yes.
When it wasn't playing like kaiju movies of
Hmm?
Godzilla and Mothra, it's
Hmm?
like oh my god, here's a really bad Hong Kong martial arts movie
Oh, yeah.
where they're gonna throw one white guy in who speaks English and everybody else is dubbed.
Tell you what, between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock, Channel 11, WPIX, New York City was the shit. They had, you could get your choice of like a Godzilla movie, a Planet of the Apes. You had always had Star Trek at like 5 o'clock. Remember that, the original series? It was fantastic. You always had something good. Always had something good.
And
We
they
had
always
we had Superhost.
Super Hose?
Superhost.
Oh, Host. Okay.
see.
Host. I don't know what that is.
That was the guy who handled Saturday afternoon throughout. I mean, Tim here, he would remember Superhost.
Superhost. It's kind of like Uncle Floyd here in New York.
Okay.
But see now, Joe, I got a question for you. For me, the episode they always seem to put on of Star Trek was the quasi-American Indian one.
Yeah. And the Nazi one.
Yeah, and then they were always the ones that were most replayed. It's like, I just saw this one like last week. Why do I have to see this one again?
They must have had a limited license or something. You only get one season or something like that.
It's like what the hell? We're replaying the same effing shit.
Yeah.
And just because we're talking about Channel 11, Joe, do you remember the afternoon game shows on Channel 11 using the Mattel in television?
Yes. And you had to say picks. Right? I
Yeah.
called that, Eric. I got that one time. I was living in Connecticut, and I'm like, so we're trying to call. You got to ask your mother because it's a long distance call to New York from Connecticut, right? Come on, Ma. Come on. Can I do it? Right? And she finally said yes one day. So I'm like, with the rotary phone, just dialing, praying to get through. And I got through one day. And of course, my style of having to do it, all you're doing is you're saying, some guy sitting there with a controller playing asteroids or some nonsense, right? And as you say picks, he hits the button. But there is this illusion that your voice controlled the speed, right? In the meantime, it's just some fat executive producer over there or some assistant, more likely, just playing Nintendo on the freaking screen, right? Or whatever, television. Right?
Mattel and television.
Television, right? So you're sitting there, he's playing this thing, and you're saying picks. And theoretically, the illusion is that when you say it is voice activated and the thing shoots out. But what really is going on here is this guy just playing in television there. And so my strategy was picks, like as fast as I possibly could, because I figured the more I said it, the faster it was shooting, the higher my score would be. And then I'm like, it's not going fast. Picks. I'm screaming into the phone. The phone must not be hearing me. My 11-year-old logic, I freaking lost. You had to get a certain score and you got a prize or something,
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
God.
That was fun though, man. Those are the good old days,
Yeah,
God.
Now talk about being off in the weeds. We if this was a game adventure when one of us was DMing, if it was you, Joe, you'd be very frustrated that we went in a direction that you never expected.
That's always fun though, in a weird way. You know what I mean? It's like you're frustrated. You're like, I spent 8 hours prepping and I didn't plan for this shit. That's what I'll do.
Time to break out Doug's deck.
Yeah, exactly.
And by the way, Doug said thank you, Joe.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's a great product, man. Great product. The book is solid. The book is really the pages are thick, and they're not. I wouldn't say they're glossy, but they're not matte, but they're not blinding, glaring at. I don't know what you did to it. I don't know. Maybe it's the color of the page or something like that. The only thing, I wish it laid a little flatter, but I guess that just comes from use. You know what I mean? But you don't really need it to lay flat, because I think what I would do with this is I would scroll through the book, because they are by level, right? Whereas the cards are going to get mixed up very quickly. So if you're going to scroll through the book and say, all right, I want like a 7th level knight, right? Riker minded, right? And so I'll see it in the book right now. We go grab the card. So the book for me would be a reference as to what is in here and what could I grab. Oh, there's a card for that. There's a card for that. Let me search through. Let me find those 5 cards. They'll be my NPCs later. That's what I would use the book for, as a quick reference, and use the cards at the table. So yeah, very good, very good. Well
Look
done.
at that. We may have to bring Doug back again.
Yeah. I think Doug just come out with a new Kickstarter, didn't he? Or is he going to? Did I see something? I'm not sure.
Yeah, he has artifacts for the Dungeon Fantasy RPG for GURPS.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I saw something. I got an email. I'm like, shit, is another Kickstarter already?
Ah,
It's his
Good job, man.
livelihood.
yeah. Next year, I may actually be running something at North Texas, only because I opened my mouth up and said I would do it. And it's the precursor to GURPS.
The fantasy trip.
I actually offered to run it next year as one of those odd games that doesn't usually get run. So it gives me a year to prep for that one, and I may try to get something ready for Shadow Dark in case. Actually, I won't get anything ready. I'm going to bring a random deck of from Inkwell Designs, and if we decide to run something, I'll have the rules, and we'll pull a couple of hours in the side room. I've got nothing on the charts that I'm running this year. I am in a couple of games and seminars, but
I'm my first time there, so I'm just looking forward to it. As it gets closer and closer, I only have one more work day before I fly out.
oh, nice.
So, yeah. We're off Monday, right? And then Tuesday is a work remote day. And not saying that I won't work all day, but if a bag gets packed during the day, just saying, right? So, yeah. So then flying out at stupid o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, like 6 a.m. because I paid more for a direct flight because I hate the layover bullshit. So I'm leaving way early and land there around, I don't know, 11 o'clock or something. We'll be good to go.
Yeah, we get there around 3:30.
Okay.
Someday I'll get out there.
Yeah, Rob, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good time. I want to get to where everybody dies. No offense, I'm not trying to insult there, but people are getting older. The people, like you're saying, in the other show the other night, man. Some people don't go anymore because it's just too hard. I just put up the link, by the way, for the Hyperborea, Jeff Delaney's Hyperborea thing. It's a map, 40 inch map, poster and canvas. So yeah, that looks pretty good. I got to check it out and see what the backer levels are. It's like $120 for the poster map, high gloss, 32 by 40, and it's shipped in a mailing too. And then the canvas map is $155. I mean, shit, you might, if you're gonna do 120, go for $155, right? Get the poster map, And Jeff always does. He always fulfills, and he doesn't get fancy. He doesn't throw in all these ridiculous, bonus stretch goal bullshit. So he's not gonna do it. He'll always fund and always produce products. That's nice.
Tammy wants the fantasy trip to be run over at ShireCon. Oh, maybe we got the space.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of ShireCon, guys, remember we have our first annual awards at ShireCon.
Yes,
the Tankies. We got to get that shit right after North Texas. We got to get that shit together, man.
Yes, and by the way, folks, if you want, I think the sale is going through June 2nd. If you have a micro center within driving distance of your abode, go to tenkarstavern.com. There's a post either from I think it's from the end of last week. You can get the Creality 3 version 2 3D printer. List price is like $260. Normally they sell for $199. $99 plus tax out the door.
And they're endorsed by my son Greg Conley because he has 2 of them now.
Tom Tullis was like, dude, it's an amazing deal.
So so yes, if you want to see what you can do with one of these bad, whoops, not that.
I'm going to bring Bad Mike in.
All right.
Okay, so
Mike.
This is what you can do with the Creality. This was actually printed on that printer that.
Well, you know what? I believe there is a 3D file of the Tenkar Mini that was produced by our good friend out in New Zealand. And if there is, we can print it in gold or silver and make that the Tenky Award.
There you go.
All right.
You can even print it oversized, just scale it up.
Yeah. So,
But
I
yes,
think-
so
Can you
this
hear me?
I was really impressed
Yep.
with how
Hear you there,
everything
Mike.
fit together. There was no
I want
filing
to see
or
Rob's
anything.
thing here.
Rob's doing show and tell. You have to hold on, Mike.
No, it looks awesome.
Yeah, and this is from Fat Dragon Games, and their system is modular, so you can build these out however you want.
Nice.
A lot cheaper than
So,
Dwarven
Eric, I
Forge,
want to
tell
tell
you.
you something real quick about. You said fantasy trip. Did I tell you my offer, or is that why you said that, or do you just want to run a fantasy trip? Because the 3 games we're going to try to get run at the con next year are the fantasy trip, Ogre, and Star Wars miniature game. And the reason being is fantasy trip is we had a person who backed the fantasy trip Kickstarter at the highest level you could back it. And we have a giant box of everything that came with that, including mats, character sheets. I mean, anything that came with that Kickstarter was in there. And we said, I don't want to auction this off. Let's keep this for the con and have people run fantasy trip. I mean, this is the ultimate fantasy trip wet dream. I mean, it's got every single thing for the fantasy trip Steve Jackson Games Kickstarter came out a few years ago. So if you want to run fantasy trip, you are welcome to delve into that box and ooh and ah and get your dirty little fingers over it. And
I have
it's amazing.
Everything,
It's amazing.
I have everything in that box because, and actually,
but you don't have to bring it. What I'm saying is you don't have to bring it at the con.
Dude, I'd have to check my luggage if I brought it. Because
what the hell is fantasy trip?
Okay, Joe, hang on to your
I
seatbelt.
had 2 boxes of the fantasy trip because I got one from Phil Reed.
Joe,
there you go.
Hell.
So we have that, but there's more. There's more, Eric, because they had these Kickstarter stretch goals, these giant hex maps and character sheets and cards and all this crap that wasn't even in the box.
Sorry, there's a lot of
it's amazing
on this box.
Oh, hey.
So first of all, it has a random dungeon generator built into the top of the box.
Damn.
And these are all the miniatures that come with it. Cardboard.
All right.
And this is vintage.
But what's the? I mean, it's
vintage.
It's a fantasy RPG.
So Joe, this came out in the late 70s, early 80s, and it was a I think 77, 70. I mean, it was pretty old. It was a quasi role playing game. It was actually very tactical, and there was pretty much just basic combat and basic magic, and that's why there's hexes instead of dungeon crawls for D&D had the square graph maps.
Yeah.
Well, Fantasy Trip used hex maps, and everything was kind of like fighting, and so. Metagame. The company was Metagaming. They had these things. You probably saw them. The pocket games. They had these little pocket games. One was called Melee, and one was called Wizard. And there were the tiny little games, the little pocket games, and you could bring them to school and play them, with your buddies or whatever. And they had copies that came with the big giant box set. Yeah,
these are the original.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they are the original. Oh, you put them in there, Rob. Well, they also did reprints also, but that's cool. Wow, you actually have the originals in there. Nice. So metagaming by who's that guy named Howard something who did metagame? I can't remember his name, but basically Steve Jackson, if I remember correctly, created it, but he worked for Metagaming at the time, and so Metagaming put that out for years and years. Even after Steve Jackson left, Metagaming still came out with it, and it's just a real early role playing game. It's very simplistic. There was a few adventures published for it.
Character sheet, Joe.
Wow,
but
Matt Jackson would love that character sheet.
It leans more. It's more towards the tactical than D&D leans more towards the magical and the
so
stuff. But this is more tactical and
And it's so minimal that they leave the entire back of the card for notes.
Very easy to play, and like most micro games or mini games, you could play. Like we used to play them when I was a kid. We go to the lunchroom and we had an hour-long lunch break. When I was in high school, for some weird reason, we would eat our lunch and then we'd play for like 40 minutes. We'd play these.
And then they have a tradition of using what they call the mega hex system.
All right.
So which are like dungeon tiles, but all hex based.
All right.
It's a little. they lean in it too a little bit too hard, but it's good. I mean, they got it going, and
All right. I'm a little
and
confused. I found their website. And there's like a one page. What is the fantasy trip? And it says the fantasy trip is more cinematic than simulationist, because it's a playable set of rules. Speed and ease the player the goal, not an exact representation.
And there was really only 3 books. There was a Melee Wizard, and they had something called In the Labyrinth, which is kind of like there's a bunch of extra stuff. Here's all our extra rules things, and that was it. So when you had those 3 books, you could play everything. And then they had a few adventures. They covered the future.
Advanced Melee, Advanced Wizard.
Yep. All right,
and that was it. That's all you needed. And if you didn't have the adventures, they had like I want to say they published like 3 or 4 adventures. Then you could just create your own. So it was just an early example of a role playing game that wasn't Dungeons and Dragons. Very much in the vein of Tunnels and Trolls.
Yeah. So what happened is that Steve Jackson came out with. I'm not sure if he's bullshitting us if he just set out to write an RPG, but he definitely started out with releasing just Melee, and all it was a war game. It was a one-on-one individual war game, which was distinctive, and of course it was in the pocket format, so it was very easy to learn. And he's a genius at game design, so it had a lot of, despite the thinness of the rules, it had a lot of tactical nuances. Okay. And then he came out with Wizards, which was wizards throwing spells at each other, made it compatible with Melee. And people said, that would be a great magic and combat system for an RPG. And then shortly after, they came out with, he expanded it to Advanced Wizard and Advanced Melee, and came out with Into the Labyrinth, which has the campaign rules. And the main difference between this and the rules is that they added talent. Your character, they're like feats. They're actually an early version of feats. You pick them, you get some benefit, you get some skill-like stuff, you get some special attack or something like that. And because it's Steve Jackson writing it, they're kind of coherent and they play well. They play nice with each other.
Yeah.
And the thing is about the newest version, though, this one had some problems. When you kept advancing your characters, you often wind up with a 25 strength and a 25 dex, or really high. So they kind of, Steve Jackson in his second bite of the apple with the fantasy trip, cleaned that up, and by all accounts, it plays very well. But it's also very war game-ish when you get to combat or spell casting. So
now there's a really cool story with this too that Rob probably knows this too. So Howard Thompson, the guy that read Metagaming, he was a weird cat. I know a few of the old school guys, the Dennis there knew him. He was a businessman that basically ran a gaming business, and he was just a weird dude. So when Metagaming just went out of business, like literally one day, all of a sudden nobody's getting paychecks and they're gone. And he just basically declared bankruptcy and got out of it one game. So Steve Jackson wanted Melee and the fantasy trip back. And he told him, yeah, you can have it back for $250,000, which is a ludicrous sum in like 1983 or 84. And so it was just an FU. It was basically an FU. So over the years, Steve Jackson kept trying to get it back, and it just never could. And Thompson's and his heirs owned it and wouldn't sell it. I mean, it just was out of print for pretty much about, almost 30 years.
35, it said on the webpage there.
Yeah. And then when it got to be, I think 35 was the magic number. Yep. Steve Jackson was able to activate some kind of a legal clause that said, if it's been out of print for 35 years,
when they extended copyright, they in a fit of generosity and wisdom, Congress realized that when you are starting out as a creative, either a songwriter or singer, songwriter, or novelist or game producer, that your bargaining power is almost nil. So you're going to sign away more than what would be usual for your rights. So they set up a provision in the law that 30 years, you have a 6-month window where you can file to take back your copyright. and then you own your copyright in full.
And then boom, he did it, and he got it back, and he got to go F you, Howard Thompson,
Yeah,
give him
yeah.
a little finger, and then that's when he did the Kickstarter. And
So
yeah,
they have
it's
another
a
box like
beautiful
this called
box.
Decks of Destiny, which is all about random card decks that support your campaign in any number of ways: NPCs, magic item, adventure seeds, more mega hexes.
So Eric, I want you to run a fantasy trip game next year, and I will provide that with Rob
Alright,
is holding
cool.
plus more.
Yeah.
And
If I ever
you
make it,
use
you
that,
can
you don't
have
to bring
you can have a
anything.
session of fantasy trip out of me.
All right.
And then so that's one. The second one is we have the giant ogre Kickstarter with all the battle things already put together and ready to roll. And we would love somebody to run ogre too, because it's a cool historic game. But
you'll
blah,
need
blah,
a
blah,
whole
but
room that is devoted to it. But yes,
yeah, we could do a whole giant table because we have the giant Kickstarter version. Not only that, actually, we have two. We have 2 boxes. We have 2 of the giant boxes. So that would be provided if somebody wanted to run ogre. And before Doug passed away, he bought every single Star Wars miniature ship that came out. What was it, about 5-6 years ago? I can't remember when the game came out. Maybe 10 years ago. And they're just sitting on a giant shelf. It's new in the box in the warehouse. Must be 100 ships there. 100.
Wow.
And we've
Good
got
Lord.
all the boards for that. We've got all that. We would love somebody run Star Wars miniature game too, because we would provide all the
Is
miniatures.
that the one with the turning radius dials? Those
I think so.
curves
Rob,
that you put on the
It's
attack.
the one that, it came out less than 10 years ago, and I don't remember the publisher, but we have all that. So Gary and I started talking about, we have stuff that people don't usually get. Let's do something with it, and let's find something. And I said, well, let's find somebody to run these games because, it's part of the history of D&D, right, or the history of gaming. I mean, these games go back.
And you can practice by buying the ogre game on Steam. It's a good rendition of the board game accurate version.
It's a fun game. That was another micro game we used to play in the cafeteria all the time. Was Ogre. That was a good one.
Ogre GEV. Yes.
Yep, Ogre GEV, and the other. What was the third? There was another
Man to Man, but something like that. It was a
it was. Well, actually, that one sucked. You just wanted to play. You just really wanted to play Ogre. Ogre was the
Ogre GEV, or combine them. Yeah. That was always fun. And I mean, listen, I still remember getting Man to Man and Orc Slayer from Steve Jackson games, which was like proto GURPS. It was like step between the fantasy trip and GURPS. It was that it was Steve trying to get his feet ready for what became the first box edition of GURPS. And yes, Mr. Gunn, GE.
Hey, I got to meet Steve Jackson at a GaryCon, and this is one of the. I have maybe a half a dozen kick-ass stories of my time in gaming. This is one of them. I got to have dinner with he and Bill Webb one night, and Steve Jackson was drinking the most girly. I swear he was drinking like pretty mimosas. I mean, he drank the girliest drinks ever. And he and Bill got loaded, but he had. So he was there, and I was talking to him, and he had the big box, and he was showing people how to play the game. And I said, I did not get that Kickstarter because at the time I was having money issues. I have got to get that. I told him about my history of playing it in the cafeteria, and he said, well, how would you like this box after I finished demonstrating it? I was like Eric when he saw Jeff Grubb in the elevator. I'm like, And so at dinner he brought the box signed by Steve Jackson. It's signed on the
nice.
Wow.
Steve Jackson.
You guys got to point out
he's a nice dude. He's a very cool, very nice dude. The dinner was hilarious. He and Bill drinking. He was drinking them like the mimosas with little umbrellas in them. I mean, just the girliest drink. And I'm sure Bill was drinking hard whiskey, and I was not drinking because I wanted to keep everybody. So there's no witness to what happened there. So I tell my kids someday that I was sober watching dinner. But yeah, that was a great GaryCon. We had a blast. But yes, I have a box set, the big box set signed by Steve Jackson, and of course it's signed by him. Now I can't take it out and play with it because I don't want to ruin. I'm like, well, maybe my kids might sell this someday, whatever. But then we had somebody a couple years ago donate the Kickstarter to us. They said, I never opened it. You can have it. And that's when Gary and I thought, let's do this. Let's have somebody. But Eric, you saying that, I didn't know if you knew I had that. And I want you to know that if you would like to run Fantasy Trip at the con next year, or whatever,
I said
We
I
can
had
set you up. We'll set you up with the table, put the giant. I mean, have it just all set up for you.
I had 2 copies of it because I got an early copy from Phil Reed because he was showing it at the was it the New York City the Games Expo, whatever they had.
Oh yeah, the New York, yeah.
Yeah, and I met him for lunch in Manhattan, and then he gives me this huge ass box to take home on the subway system. I was like, holy shit!
Those two guys are two super nice guys.
Yeah,
They really.
really.
Phil Reed and Steve Jacks are just super nice dudes. And I got to talk to him about all. I was asking him just the goofballiest. I mean, I don't get a chance to talk. He doesn't go to a lot of conventions. I mean, I think this was one of the very. I think Phil was telling me. Phil went with him, and Phil was saying this is only like the 3rd convention he's been to in the last 30 years or something weird. So, but yeah, I was asking him just crazy shit. You know, like tell me about Howard Thompson. Oh, he was crazy. And so he told me a story about Howard Thompson because he was a weirdo. He was not a gamer that ran a gaming company, and he was. Although he did do war, he did know war games. He had been a war gamer, but he did not understand what Dungeons and Dragons was or any of that stuff. Didn't get it. But yeah, Howard Johnson. There's stories, all kinds of stories, crazy stories about Howard Johnson and Howard Thompson and metagaming. People.
You guys got to point these people out to me because I'm a weirdo. Like I recognize the names, but I was never a follower of anybody because of the name that. I just recognize, Jeff Grubb did Manual of Planes, and obviously Gary and Menser and this and that. But like, I never was a follower of, Menser wrote this, therefore I'm going to get it. I wasn't that guy, right? And so, I mean, now I'm more appreciative of the contributions these folks made, but I barely remember names as it is in real life. And so a name on a book, I'm hardly, and plus I have no face to even recognize. So please be the guy who points out, hey, that's Jeff Grubb. That's
what's cool about gaming, Joe, is that so if you look at and somebody, I know John Peterson's written some amazing histories of games, but they've mostly been centered on TSR. But if you look at how games develop and RPGs develop, and Rob's about my same age. He's when all this happened. The games went from war games, and then everything kind of segued to RPGs. But then after the RPGs, a lot of people left the RPG, and they all went into video games. They went to Coleco. Yeah. They went to all the video game companies. Janelle Jaquays, Dennis Sestaire, Lawrence Schick, all those guys. They ended up working. Sandy Peterson. They all ended up working for, ID Games and Coleco and this, that. And some of those guys wrote some of the the games we played when we were kids on Coleco Vision and all those systems. And so that's kind of the history of the game is everybody just kind of moved on. They moved up the ladder, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
more money. I mean,
it's just really cool because you see those people now and then realize that, like we know when I do Janelle Jaquays, I'm thinking, okay, this is somebody I played. I love his Judges Guild stuff and this and that. And then he went for TSR, wrote some classic TSR stuff. But then one day I'm talking to him and Dennis Sestaire, and Dennis was actually his boss at Coleco. And I'm like, holy shit, he did ColecoVision football. He did. The games he did was just blowing me away. I didn't even know that whole section of Dennis Sestaire or Janelle's career. But they're just blowing me away, telling me all the ColecoVision games they worked on and all the, so it's really interesting how the genre just kind of branches out like a spider's web. And these guys went to work, all these different companies and different hobbies and different genres.
That is kind of cool.
And I think of very few. There's a couple that got into Hollywood that, would do scripts. And I want to say Jeff Grubb might have been one of them. Jeff, what did he do? He got into comic book writing. Remember, Eric? He did all the, all the DC Comics. So, he was writing Forgotten Realms. And so and I asked him some really cool questions about DC Comics. What was it like working for DC Comics? Because, very few of the D&D people went to, I know Tim Truman did eventually too. He was an artist in the early days. He did a lot of comics. But yeah, Jeff Grubb did comics and he just had his finger everywhere. It's just really interesting to see these guys just pop, where they popped up and where they went to and what they did. And so it all fills in a picture. You start realizing, how much D&D influenced all these other genres. Yeah. That's why a lot of people, when they talk about video gaming, the people that are smart and actually historians and were there, they give a lot of credit to Gary Gygax and the people who created D&D, because that was really the impetus behind all these adventure type games that came out in the 80s and eventually led to the 90s and, and stuff like Doom and, Quake and all that stuff.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I just want to I don't have every slot filled with a game. I just wanted free time just
Good.
to figure out what's going
Yeah.
on, talk to some people, wander. I know you can buy and sell things or whatever, but I'm just going to buy and talk and have a drink and just hang and chill. I'm looking forward to just hanging with my peeps.
It'll
My
be fun,
tribe.
man. You'll
Hanging with your peeps.
we got to get Rob though, because everybody knows who Rob is,
Yeah,
and they all know Rob.
Yeah.
Rob's got to make it here, and I can't believe Rob's younger than me. So if he's younger than me, he has no excuse. He's got to get out of here.
I know, Rob.
So Rob needs to
A little bit
Rob looks like my
pricey,
friend.
and I took a major income hit with Judges Guild bullshit. So
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's
when
true.
I rebuild, I hit ShireCon and I had a really good time.
Yeah.
Both of my sessions, and I'm glad they're making it 2 days instead of one.
Well, day and a half, right? This will be a Friday night, and then all day Saturday. So yeah, you guys you're gonna come up. You're gonna stay over this time, right, Rob?
It's on my list, guys. Too. I'm gonna make ShireCon one of these years. I promised Tom I would.
Good.
So, once my wife retires next year, then it's Katie bar the door. I'm gonna try to hit a lot more cons.
Nice.
I'll bring my wife in tow. I can get away with it because I can say it's a trip. Let's take a nice trip up to the East Coast, honey, and you go do chick stuff, and I'm gonna play games with the guys. And so,
well, there's not much to do out there in no man's land. It's hard to find a place to stay, but hey, they might be able to find something. I heard. Did somebody say on the show the other night that he's not going to after this year have it at the same location, Eric? Is that what I heard?
Next year, 2024.
Different town.
Well, there's a bunch of bed and breakfasts around there. I mean, so if I bring my wife, I have an excuse to actually stay at a bed and breakfast and not have like a romantic retreat with another dude. I can just bring my wife there and get a bed and breakfast somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, it's a nice area of the state. I gotta say, it's a really nice area. It's like the northwestern corner. It's pretty nice out there. And it's only about an hour from where I live, so it's pretty good.
Doesn't feel like Connecticut.
No, not really at all. Connecticut's a weird little state, though. It's the size of any county in Rob's state, but there's so much different crap in here. It's weird.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the schedule here, Bad Mike, and damn near everything is completely filled up. Holy crap!
So here's the dirty little secret about cons is that probably we're going to have about 500 people this year. We're very close to selling out, about 470. Probably 10% won't show up. You get about 40 people that won't show up.
Oh, really?
So you have openings in games, and not only that, you have a lot of off the grid games. People that just don't writing their games down. I think even Kelsey said she's running a game Friday and Saturday. She may run another game, just see what's up and run a game,
cool.
Thursday or something. So you have a lot of people running. You have a big board there. There's a big board. People write down, hey, I have a game. I'm going to run it here, and I need 6 people. Or you'll have like, hey, here's my game. I had 3 people not show up, and so you just go to the board, and you pull the paper down, you put your name on there, or you show up at the room, and there you go. You got games. There's plenty of stuff going on, even though it's not always all written down. And then I've seen people just sit around. Eric's seen this too. There'll be just 5 people sitting at a table and like, hey, you guys want to play whatever? Yeah, let's do it. I mean,
that's cool.
The one year that Wolfgang Barr came to the con, well, I'd love to get him back, but he came because he was hanging out with Bill Webb, and these guys walked up and they had the Lords of Waterdeep board game, and because we have a very small game library. I mean, when I mean small, I mean like 10 games. We don't have a lot of games. We're not a board game convention. We have a tiny game library, and so they checked out Lords of Waterdeep, which Wolfgang worked on. And so they were like, I don't know how to play this game. Does everybody show me? And I kind of look at Wolfgang because I'm like, here's the dude right here. And he goes, yeah, I'll show you guys how to play it. And so he went off with like 3 guys, and I'm sure they had a blast because then the designer of the game is sitting there, running Lords of Waterdeep with them or showing them how to play Lords of Waterdeep.
That's what I was hoping to play in Kelsey's game. Just that, it was one thing to play it like we did here, have drunken like nonsense, but that the creator of the game actually sit down and do it with you. That's pretty cool, Yeah, maybe we'll talk her into it. Maybe buy her a beer and she might play the game for us.
Maybe you get one of Raggy's games. I mean, God knows.
I'm in that.
I'm in James Raggy coming to.
Yeah.
Good for you guys.
I signed up.
Good for him.
He was the first guy I signed up for. I was like, I don't want to, because Raggy, I play tested a game he did years ago online, 10 years ago. And it was the one where there was a freaking zombie baby dragging around the dead mother body umbilical cord. That's really all I remember about it. I was so scarred for life by that scene that I don't remember much about it. But plus, it was late at night, and had a few women.
Well, thank goodness for this show, the Random Party Generator, because that's how we got Raggy. Because remember, he was on your show last year,
and I pestered him for a year.
And then oh God, that was like a 4-hour show. That went on for freaking ever. And then the after party, I jumped in. That was an extra hour or two with everybody talking to him later. And so it just seemed to me he was up to do whatever. And so I've talked to him online, for years and years. I said, dude, we really want you to come to our con. His first question was why? I said, because you've created an entire genre. I mean, you're basically a publisher of a genre, a niche genre that's very popular, which is Lamentations. And so he just didn't understand, because the only con he goes to is freaking in the United States is freaking Gen Con. That's a cattle call. That's ridiculous. And I said, you need to come to a con, because there's a lot of fans in this area, Dallas-Fort Worth area, Lamentations fans that will bring everything you've ever written. I mean, literally everything you've ever written. We have some of the biggest Lamentations collectors in the world in Texas, in this area. They have stuff that he wrote that was like 10 copies of. These guys will bring it. They want you to sign it. They want to hang out with you. And he just couldn't believe it. He's like, really? It's like, yes, this isn't just going to be you selling stuff at the table. This is going to be you, doing. I mean, people who respect you and think you're awesome, they'll be, come up and talking to you. So he was into that once and then I said, we're going to pay for it too. And he's like, why would you pay for a trip?
He smells a rat.
You're a special guest. I mean, so we were happy to provide that, because he's not, like I said, to Gen Con, he's probably just another person that shows up, and they don't know who he is or care who he is. And I know he goes to a lot of, European cons. He goes to RopeCon. He goes to Spiel or whatever. So, but even there, I think those are really big cons. I think he's just another cog in the wheel. He doesn't go to small cons where he would be, people would really, be into him getting there. So we're very excited to have him. He's, hopefully he's going to be, he said he's bringing a lot of stuff that, he said the other day he's going to bring a lot of stuff that's out of print that it's hard to find.
I mean, he's one of us. I look at Raggy as Raggy's just like, he was the guy. We were all blogging. Every damn one of us was blogging, right? And we're all talking shit. We're all trying to figure stuff out. And he's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go beyond a retro clone," because that's all we had, right? When he decides to make Lamentations. And I remember he sent me a thing on like ICQ or whatever the hell we were using, or AIM, and right, the messenger back then. And he's like, "I'm gonna make my own game." I'm like, "Do it, man. Go for it." And he was the first one to break the clone molds. He took the clones in a different direction. He was the first guy to fucking do that. Even RPG Pundit admits it. Raji was the first, and he broke the mold on that level. And a lot of people followed. You know what I mean? If he didn't do it first, who knows how long it would have taken before that thing happened? Nothing but respect.
And we bag on, jokingly, we bag on Raggy a lot, because I bag on him that he's basically he's just a promoter. He promotes himself great. He's a great promoter. I mean, he promotes his stuff, but that's why he's running around naked in the snow and just doing weird shit. But you throw all that out there, and it's an amazing track record for a guy that from what all appearances, he pays his people who work for him very well, and that's what a lot of people say. That's why he has such loyal people. That people are like, why do you work for James? Like, because he fucking pays me on time, and he pays me good, and he gives me a percentage of the sales, and so he pays people well, and he puts out quality product. I mean, his books are quality. These are not, this is better quality than 5e. 5e shit is just shit. That stuff, like you guys were talking about earlier, that just shit falls apart. This stuff is really nice. Limited quality, so pretty much everything's a collector's item. I mean, it's a limited, 2,000 copies, whatever. He's created a whole genre there. It's amazing.
The first non-Lamentations thing I bought from him, other than like the rules, I think was that Carcosa book. And remember how it felt? I look at it and I just want to go reach out and feel that thing. I don't know what it was bound with. I like to think it was
Jeffrey McKinney. It might have been vellum. I don't know if that's a vellum cover or what.
It's soft. It felt like really nice to the touch, but it wasn't like velvet. But it was it's just really cool. Good quality shit. Really good quality shit. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in person, buy him a drink, and just yakking.
And like I said, I know people don't like him that don't know him, but a lot of it's just the fact he doesn't appear in the United States very often, so nobody really sees him.
Right.
When he was on our show, he was a great guy to interact with.
Yeah, he's always been a great guy. Yeah.
And every time, and the projects I've been on with him, I never had a complaint.
Yeah. Well, you were gonna do something with him, right, Rob? Some English game or some shit.
Yeah, that was all on me. Nothing.
Oh, I know.
He paid very generously, but I just don't do historicals. So
Which is ironic considering the amount of history in your games, like the realism. Know what I mean?
yeah, see, I can if I wanted to pound out a historical, I could probably do it, but I couldn't stand the fact that I wasn't basing on the root of it wouldn't have been real. It would have been made up Rob Conley shit. And if I'm going to do that, I'm just going to make my own setting. So
Yeah.
it can hang together the way I want it to hang and not worry about, whether
Accuracy
it's
and
how
all
it
that.
was. Yeah. It doesn't have to be super accurate, but it has to be
Yeah.
accurate enough.
Yeah.
And that takes time, especially given the state of historical sources, which are incomplete. Although with the new AI,
Oh.
I mean, not writing it for you, but just, coming up with ideas that you can look up further things.
Mm-hmm.
I did a test of that. We were talking about Raggy, so I went and dug that England out there. And I think if I use that, I could complete it. I mean, it's like almost halfway done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what game is? Give it a shot, Rob. What the hell? I mean, even to put out for your own use.
Yeah, Rob's stuff's never bad. It's not going to be bad. It's going to be it's entertaining no matter what it is.
Yeah, it'd be very good if not excellent. So
yeah.
I came up with a backstory to explain the supernatural of it all, and it fit with how the Lamentations of the Flame Princess RPG worked, and
which was, I mean, Lamentations was just Labyrinth Lord. I think he just copy pasted and just changed enough. I think there's some sentences ripped right out of Labyrinth Lord, though. I think
made it more historical and made it more gory and
a little more blood, guts, and umbilical cords. That's pretty much his style, right?
And lowered the power level. Really,
definitely.
So the basic premise was that it's supposed to be taken. James wanted the setting to take place during the English Civil War, and the way I threw in his RPG was that a while ago during the Elizabethan time, the John Dee and all the English magicians at the time made peace with the fairies and other supernatural creatures by burying these caches of gold all around England. And King Charles, desperate to raise money to fight Parliament, dug them all up and thus broke the pact. So now, not only there's the chaos unleashed by the mundane Civil War, there's a supernatural.
That's pretty
war,
cool,
man. War
that
going
is
on.
Pretty cool. John Dee, that's a deep reference there. That's cool, man. I like that.
Yeah, I think. And Tim helped me for a bit. He dug up a few sources, but it only got me to the halfway point. And I was already 3 months overdue. So
now, Rob, you're working on a Shadow Dark thing, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Again, it's not so much perfection it, but doing it away is right and useful. So I think my merchant idea, all the work is going to get thrown in my Majestic Fantasy, because I wrote the Majestic Fantasy version first. And what I'm going to do is Shadow Dark. Is I'm just going to take my Majestic Fantasy or my Majestic Waterland supplement and make a Shadow Dark version, but instead of using the Majestic Waterland, and that's why I asked that question earlier, Dave, about what the default setting was, I'm going to use one of my points of light. And I think I'm going to do so for my Majestic Fantasy stuff. I am setting it in like the present day of the Majestic Fantasy realm. But when I wrote Points of Light, I set each of the settings at a different time period. And so for the Shadow Dark, I'm going to set it in the time after the fall of the Bright Empire, when, like basically my version of the Roman Empire. And so there's and I already have a setting done for it called Wildlands that I'll repurpose. And I think it's going to work out great and fit with the default mode of
the style of game.
Yeah, the Shadow Dark. And so basically I will have like the supplement. I don't have to worry. I can keep with Kelsey's license. She doesn't want to open up her role system completely, which is fine. And basically that's how I treated Sword. Even though Matt Finch had Swords and Wizardries open, I didn't copy. It was a supplement. It was definitely a supplement. So
Yeah.
so I'll keep the same format. So I won't repeat the fighter, but I will have a soldier. I will have a paladin of Delaquain, a paladin, a Meridian of Set. I'll
Mhm.
have a knight. I'll have a thug, merchant adventure, claws of Callus, all those stuff, and I have stuff that and for the setting, I will bring my wildland setting up to date, and with the format I'm using for the main product I'm working on, and that can be a nice supplement that I could have out by July.
Cool, man. By July, really? No shit. That's
I
pretty
mean,
cool.
the merchant, the only thing, I was writing the merchant rules, and some of it was pretty. It's not complex, but to build it, you got to. It's like how Kelsey built Shadow
Yeah.
Dark. Every mechanic has to pull its weight.
Yeah,
So I was
yeah.
making sure every mechanic in my merchant supplement was pulling weight, and I just need more time on it. And
Yeah. That's cool, man. It's cool.
Nice.
You want me to take a look and do editing? Let me know, man.
I will.
I'm happy to. Yeah, that'd be neat.
Well, we really did one hell of a
It's going to
sandbox.
be fun to see Kelsey there too, because I'm excited because there is. I mean, Kelsey's going to be there. James is going to be there. I'm trying to think. I think they might be the only people I don't already know. So it's going to be fun for me because these are people I don't see it normally. Normally see these people at conventions, and it'll be fun because sometimes you get like, oh yeah, there's Alan Hammock for the 15th time. I know that guy, Although I love Alan. I'm busting his balls, but I mean, there's guys like that. You just see them all the time. You're like, hey, what's up, man? And and then you have a drink at the bar and you hang out. It's cool, but yeah, I really want to sit down and talk to people like Kelsey and James, just because I don't know if we'll have James is an expensive guest. I mean, his plane ticket was pricey. So he's not somebody we'd probably have back every year. Now Kelsey, hopefully we can get her. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, she can come every year. She's awesome.
She could drive almost. I mean, she's pretty close, ain't she? Relatively speaking.
No, I think she's in California. I think she's.
I thought she was Nevada.
Oh, maybe you're right. Yeah, I think you may be right. But I mean, it's far enough that she probably flying is probably the best deal for her. But yeah, so at least she's in the States, so that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. Not doxing her. I think I saw that in one of her videos. She was talking about the little video dive there. She's actually, she did a good video on developing the Ranger. I have an hour drive each way to work a few days a week, and I put on the long videos. That's when I'll just listen in on shit. And her thought process behind while she was designing the class, I'm like, that makes sense. That's probably how I would do it, And I'm like, all right, God damn it. She's 30 odd years old, and she has this 50 odd year old person's mentality as if she grew up making our era,
I saw her bar one was really good too. I like the way she worked the bar. It's like her talking out loud and taking suggestions from people, but she would create abilities, and then later on she'd say, that abilities really doesn't do very much. It's only comes in handy this, and this. We're going to get rid of that one. And so she was very good about killing her children, so to speak. Like, okay, I create. Oh, this is a cool concept. I'm going to do this, and then later on, 30 minutes later, she's like, I just it just doesn't do enough. I mean, it's cool. It's a cool concept. I like it, but it's just not. And so I think that's really cool. And I really wish more game companies would do that sort of brainstorming with their fans or their their audience and say, hey, let's all sit around and create something and
together. Yeah. And she knew the system so intimately well that she knew that, if I put this ability here, it either conflicts with, duplicates, or takes away somebody else's glory. You know what I mean? And so it was really nice. It was like, this is pretty good.
Yeah, and at one point with the bard, she sat there and said, this guy's got too many abilities, which is true.
Yeah.
She's like, we don't want to load these guys up because we want them to be compatible to every other, character class, And so she goes, I'm looking at the bard right now. And he's got too many things he can do, And so she took away a couple things that were very situational, and I just think that's cool too, because if you ever look at how these supplements go for game companies, they give you the fighter, mage, priest, and thief, whatever. Then they start creating these really esoteric classes because they want to get you interested in, like, yeah, you got to play the ninja, samurai, barbarian.
Yeah.
And so then it's got these 15 abilities. And you're like, well, yeah, who would want to play that? That's freaking awesome. It does everything. And, and then, it's just basically a way to kind of bring people in that aren't already playing. You can say, you can play a fighter. You can play the barbarian, ninja, samurai. And look what it does. And so that's not good game design. That's just pandering, is what it is. You're pandering to people.
It's game bloat. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Wizards of the Coast is doing.
What was the one? The dancer, the sword dancer, Eric? What was that
God!
Blade Dancer, was it?
No, Blade Dancer.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Never play tested. We found out never play tested. By the way,
Blade Singer.
Blade Singer. Yes.
Blade Singer, complete book of elves. Oh my God. Made me hate the complete book.
Game breaker. And we found out from Steve Winter never play tested, because Steve Winter confessed one year that the complete books characters, most of them were not play tested. They were just like, hey, create a book of Rangers. We need 15 different Rangers. Okay, I don't know. And they didn't play test these guys. They just thought them up, and like I said, they just threw all these abilities and let's make this guy do this, and this, and we'll have a Sea Ranger and he can see the sea and this, and so that's when. That's why the whole Splat book came about, where everybody just kind of would roll their eyes, like, oh my God, your players would show up for a second, the 2E session, and the guy that always had 16 Splat books, you're like, nah, you ain't bringing that shit in here. Out the door. I'm not gonna go through Splat books trying to figure out which ones are broken and which ones are overpowered. Just no Splat books. Sorry.
I hated it, but my brother was always like, but they're official. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. They're official. It says TSR on it. I don't care. Big arguments, Jesus Christ. That's why I minimize.
You were right, Joe, because like Steve Winter told us, not play tested, just thought up, because they needed 15 wizards or 15 mages or 15 ninjas. They would just, let's just throw this one against the wall and see what happens. So,
play testing,
not balanced.
You got to do the basics on play testing. You got to run the adventure a few times or something like that. But
sure,
it's overrated. I think you just got to have a gut feel for it and just put it out there and see what happens.
No, Joe, I disagree. I play tested the Scourge of the Demon Wolf 12 times before I published it, and it was worth it every time.
You think so?
Yep.
But would the audience who bought it have noticed the difference between if you only play tested 3 versus 12, Rob? That's the question. I know you thought it's worth it as a designer, but with the average Joe schmuck, because every group is going to have its different types of players, its different style of game. It's going to have some.
What do you think happened when I played with 12 players? So first of all, I'm running a sandbox adventure, and you played enough in my campaign to know. Think of all the what ifs that would happen in the current campaign, and how big of a difference it would have made if you chose B instead of A. Well, with Scourge of the Demon Wolf, I got parties to see what happened when they choose B over A. I got to see C, D, E, and F. And what happened was, because I ran it 12 times, I saw certain patterns emerge. Like invariably, every party tried to resolve the conflict between the villagers and the beggars. How they handled it was different, but nobody sought to say, hey, we're going to have the beggars and side with the beggar and have them take over the village, or the beggars are bad and we're going to have the villagers kill them all. And no, they all tried to resolve it one way or the other. But on the other hand, when it came to the initial counter to the adventure, there was a 50-50 split. Some people pursued the bandits and followed the clues, and some even missed interacting with the village altogether, but still managed to deal with the demon wolf. And other people found the dead tinker and immediately went to head to the village. So it was very much worth the 12.
Okay.
And I'm up to 8 so far in that adventure that you and Eric were part of, the Deeds of the Russet Lord.
Yeah.
And what you did was informative. It wasn't the same as the other people who ran in that adventure.
Well, you ran that once at ShireCon. It took an hour for one group, right?
Yeah, but the reason for that is it's something that I thought I would have run into Scourge and the Demon Wolf, but I never did. But I had 2 Harm players, and I'm sorry if you're listening to this or forgot your names, but they were together, and they played Harm, so they knew how to conduct it. They immediately pegged my setup as basically medieval.
Yeah.
So they adopted that attitude, and they focused on resolving the conflict within the village, so that whenever the Russet Lord did what the Russet Lord wanted to, he would be facing the united village, which basically amounts to defeating his plans.
Yeah. The
Interesting.
Russet Lord. That's a potato man, which has
I know.
I think Greg dubbed him so.
Laugh it up, Fuzzball. Laugh it up.
We were bad.
Oh, God. Yeah, so 10% may not make it then, Mike. I have a shot at just hopping onto a table then if there's a vacancy. This is
And
pretty
some
good.
people add extra players. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
always add extra.
There's very seldomly where you walk up to a table and say, "Can I play?" They're just like, "No, get the hell out of here." That's
Yeah.
just doesn't happen. I mean, there's some people that are very like Errol Otis is very picky. He wants X amount of players in his game.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not here this year, but I'm just saying there's guys like that that's like, nope, this is what I have. I have 6 players or whatever. But most people are just like, sure, the more the merrier. They, whatever,
That's
just
cool.
jump in and especially if there's a spot, open, it's not an issue at all. So.
That's cool. Joe Manganiello, right? He's going to be there this year, you say?
He's not going to be there. He actually canceled last week. So the what he's filming right now, which I can't remember the name of, Gary might remember, but he's not on. It went 2 weeks over. The filming is going to be 2 more weeks, which takes it into mid-June. So obviously we're not going to have. He's not going to miss a filming for our stupid convention. So but he had really good contact with us. He talked to Gary a lot, so he's wants to come in the future.
Has he ever been there before, or would this have been his first time?
Never can. No, he's been to Gary Con obviously a few times, but never been to. We actually got over having him, which is funny because we're like the anti-panderers. We don't, we just invite whoever wants to play and that we like, people we like that, just whatever. And people are like, oh man, you got him in there because you guys are going Hollywood. This, that. Like, no, we just heard he play D&D, and he does. Yeah. He's a huge D&D fan, and so we said we thought it'd be cool to have him, and we knew some people that knew him and said they could set him up with us, and we talked to him, and he wanted to come, and so
wild. It would have been kind of awkward though because his wife, Sophia Vergara, her and I used to be Knightham years ago. So if he was there, it would have been a fight between me and him. It's just, so maybe it's better in retrospect.
Well, she's not coming with him. You realize that? I mean, it'd just be him with a boys' night out playing games. It's not,
Damn.
And we did hear. I don't know if I told you this, Eric, but Gary actually talked to Luke last week, or the after our show. It was like a few days after the show. He sent him a note, and Luke said he's pretty sure he's going to come next year.
Oh, really? That's cool.
He says that next year looks like all the crap that's out of the way that keeps him from coming in June. Like this year, he's going to the UK Games Fair with he and Alex Kamer. So Alex is not going to be there either, but he said he was pretty sure he was going to make it here next year. So that'll be cool. Luke's never made it here either. So we've had one Gygax brother. That's Alex. Alex has come. Ernie's canceled twice on us, and now it's like, thank God. But yeah, Luke's been wanting to come for years, just could never make it. So I'd love to have Luke. That'd be fun.
Looking forward to it. So next week would not be
Alex. I mean, Alex was funny. Alex is a goofball. The young brothers. He was funny. He's a funny dude. He's a goofball. So
that's Gail's son, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's the one at my first Gary Con was what's the polite way to say it? Unloading on Bill Webb about Tenkar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because you were hammering his mom, and you guys broke bread, so to speak. I guess you
did.
You kind of said. I thought you did. I thought you talked.
No, we kind of did. Not face to face, but we were able to converse a little bit via PMs on social media. But
From what I hear now, I think he would agree with you, Eric. So I think he's come around to your side of the story because he had the couple times I've talked to last years, he and his mom have not getting along very well. So yeah,
That's a shame.
he's probably on your side. But well, Gail, I mean, I won't. Who's gonna say? I won't say it, but I mean, Gail's got issues. She's and including that comes through that every part of her life, including her family now, that's invaded. So it just really sucks.
Yeah, this thing. Yeah, what are you gonna do? Family, you can't pick them. You just end up in them, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, now this is a show where honestly, folks, we had like 2 general topics about Woods of the Coast to go on, and we have crossed the world and back again. This is like Bilbo Baggins going on his first adventures. Like I just thought it was going to be
it's a hex scroll.
Yeah,
you guys walked around the corner. You're like, oh, there's that MF or Bad Mike again. God, he's joining us on this journey. I thought this journey was a trio. And there, oh my God, he jumped in. And,
Well, we thought we were going to have Matt Jackson, and that was going to be like.
Oh, Matt was all fired up.
I would not have asked to jump in if Matt or Greg had showed up. So.
Yeah, Matt was gonna tear me apart about why I like 2E and 2E how bad it sucks. And
I loved it. We still play, dude. We still play 2E. That's our system of choice in our game.
Is it really?
We've been playing we went through Highfell 3.5 years 2E, and we started Doro Deep, and that's 2E also. Yeah, when I got my players together after we hadn't played in years, I said, look, you just pick the system: Swords of Wizardry, BX, 1E, 2E, and they vote all unanimous 2E because they said, we have all the books. It's got the most variety. They know I'd already worked up a campaign world for 2E because I've had a campaign world since the 90s. We'll just use your campaign world. We know all the gods that you have and all the powers and this and that. Now how the character classes work. Yeah, just do 2E. I'm a huge 2E fan.
If it wasn't for the fact that I know every one of these guys that play in my game know 2E, I wouldn't be running 2E, right? But I like it, and they know it, and Tego doesn't break their brains, and all the quirks
that's what I'm saying.
To them.
Yeah, everybody had it back then. Everybody's got it. And we have all the rule books, honestly, in my group, we always sat there when we played 1E until 2A came out. Then we got the 2E books and said, this fixes a bunch of shit with 1E we didn't like. And it really did. I mean, we were like, this is all our house rules anyway. I mean, this is what we've been house ruling. So let's just switch over. And we had a very seamless switch from 1E to 2E. It wasn't angsty and oh my God, Gary Gygax, they hate him, and it was just like this is easier to run. Let's just do it.
Well, we didn't know the background either at that time. Like you didn't go, Gary was forced out. They're rewriting the game. Did not pay Gary anything from a 2E, making a new edition.
I clearly remember looking at the 2E player's handbook and DM guide. I'm like, this layout, this organization is fucking phenomenal. Amazing compared to 1E, right?
There's an index.
It's an index. It's laid out well. I can find shit.
Yeah.
And now I look at it. I'm like, this is the biggest piece of shit fucking layout I've ever seen in my life. Why? Because I'm comparing it to 5E, right? And 5E is like near perfection and old school essentials, and the perfect layout after 50 years of practice, right? But 2E for its time was pretty damn good. The thing 2E assumed was, I think correctly, we're all 15, 20 years old boys with nothing else to do and no lives. We would just read the goddamn book from cover to cover all the time, and so we didn't have to know. We didn't have to have like the big headers and the breakdown and the nice organization, because we kind of could just open the book to the page because we had instinctively known where the hell the thing was, right? I mean, I can still do that with the 1E DM guide. Just turn to the page, I think, where it is, and just pretty much find it all the time. So
this is absolute heresy, and I've come to almost punches by saying this, but the original DM guide is really a really shitty put together book, because that's why when you read it now, that's why you read it now, you find stuff you never saw before, because it's not where it should be. There's nothing where it should be. It's a great book. It's a great game book. It is a terrible game book. It is so badly laid out in terms of where things are and what we're going from here to henchman to here's what spells here's what spells should do, but we're not going to change it in the player's handbook. We're just going to tell you in the DM guide what they should be doing. I mean, it's the craziest book, and we loved it when we were kids because you could just go through there and open it at any page and like, oh, I didn't know that helmet. If you're not wearing a helmet, you have a 5% chance of unconscious. I mean, where's that rule? That's rules nowhere else except for in the DM guide. But it's an absolutely horribly put together rule book.
But do you know what?
That's one thing they get better at. They've gotten better at over the decades, and they're really good at now is arranging game stuff to where it makes sense, and you don't have to flip through back and forth with the book.
I'll agree with you that the format was horrible. But one thing I didn't realize till 10 years ago or so was that the format at the beginning, at least, is the exact same chapter by chapter layout as the PHP. So he was going chapter by chapter, and just thinking out loud on the typewriter and just reading his own PHP and just typing out some shit that comes to mind, stream of consciousness style. And so I think that
makes
is
sense,
kind of it was quaint and nice, and it was one DM to another talking to you, right? And it had that kind of feel.
Can you imagine any game system now? This would never happen, but I'm just rhetorical. They would put out their 3 main books a year apart. You're going to put out the monster book first, and next year you're going to get our game book, and the year after that you're going to get the DM book on how to run that game. It was ludicrous. That whole thing was insane. But that's why I'm just saying we know game design so much better now. I mean, there's classes taught in game design, and that's why board games are better too. I mean, to take a board game at the time that was probably really popular, Sorry is a shitty game. It is an absolutely shitty game because there was no game design involved. I mean, there's no really rhyme or reason. If you look at the games now, there's some amazing games now, like Gloomhaven and just Settlers of Catan, all these games, because they're actually using design rules to actually make a good game. They're not just throwing everything against the wall and see how it sticks. And just roll higher than this guy and you win, and there's a little bit of luck in the end because then if you roll this double 3 times and then you win, even though you're the last place. I mean, it's just that games back then were just terrible. You look at the games that were, popular in the 60s and 70s, and then look at the stuff now. You're just like, oh my God, these guys really know how to put together a game now. I'm continually. My kids got a game because Doug had bought the Kickstarter for this game called Spurs, and I can't remember what it's called now, but it's a Western game. It's the funnest thing. If I'd have been a kid playing that game, I'd have played it every day for 10 years. It was so freaking fun. My grandkids love it. I mean, it's a really fun game because it's a Western game. You can go in so many directions. You can be a bad guy. You can be a good guy. You can be a cattle rustler. You can train horses. Every time my granddaughter plays, she just trains horses, and she ends up beating us half the time because my other grandsons and I we're shooting each other out at the saloon. We're losing all our points by killing each other at the saloon. She's over here training horses, and she has all her points. She turns in her cards like, oh, she won again. Damn, we were killing each other over here, But that's just one game. That's not even a real popular game, and it's designed so well, and it's so interesting. You can play it over and over and over again. You'll get tired of it. I mean. And we all know what happens when you took Risk out and you played it. You got a fist fight with your best friend, after 3 hours of saving up cards, and you're trapped on Australia, and you're beating each other up, and then after a while you just start punching each other in the mouth.
Or you accidentally knock the board over and move all the pieces.
Oh yeah, that was a good one too.
Sorry.
Darn! I got up and knocked the whole board over.
Damn.
We had a guy do that at Divine Right once. After about 10 hours, we about killed him because he was losing, and he tipped the Divine Right board. We're like, you got to be kidding me, because that game took forever. But
Divine Right? I don't recall
Divine Right. The old TSR game. If you played so if you're smart, you just play the 10-turn game, the 15-turn game. But we were always idiots, and we played the entire game out to the last turn. It would last like literally 8 or 9 hours. Because everybody's doing their armies and tech, and then you have alliances, and then you get once again you get in a fist fight with your best friend because he has Mivior and he decided to attack Shukasm, and you're like, why are you doing that? And I don't know, just because I felt like it, because we had a deal. Oh, I don't, so. We had a blast playing Divine Right too, but it's once again, it's not a greatly designed game because it's not. Every country doesn't have an even chance of winning. Some countries have no chance of winning really, and there's a lot of luck involved, and there's weird things that happen, and it's just And that's the same. Like, look at role playing games now. It's the same deal. It's the same deal with role playing games now. The books are so well designed, and they have indexes, and they have you go online. If you don't understand a rule, what do? You go online and you ask, "Hey, I don't understand this one rule," and boom, 15 people give you an answer. What did we do back in 1980 when we're reading the player's handbook and didn't get it? I don't know. You just you worked it out somewhere out, right?
Yeah, bought it out, made it up, screamed for a while, and that's it. As Rob,
and then you figured out you did it wrong. Like, oh, we did it wrong. Okay, let's try this way then. That way,
Rob and Eric are seeing in my game now with my brother, because you're playing my brother for the first time. You see me and my brother just yell at each other a lot, because that's just the dynamic we've had since 1984.
Right.
So we've calmed down significantly when others are around. But if it's just me and him playing, sometimes it gets into a fucking scream match.
Oh, boy.
But that's just how it is. It ain't a personal thing. It ain't even an anger thing. It's just how we communicate while playing D&D. The default mode of communications. But I mean, look at game design when was it B1 or B2 when Gary says, if you want a wilderness map, go get this thing from whatever the hell, right? Oh, by the way,
Right.
does that map exist anywhere still that I could look at? I've never seen a copy of that map.
What map you're talking about?
Wilderness survival.
Wilderness survival map. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it.
Look online. Yeah, there's tons of references online for.
Hold on.
Oh, we got it coming.
Because I mean that for Greg Gillespie's Mega Dungeon World, he uses the outdoor survival map.
Yeah.
All his mega dungeons are placed within one area, so you can go online and even find it shows. Here's the wilderness survival map. Here's where Greg put all his stuff.
Oh,
and
no shit.
then it has there's some really cool maps online that show it related to Greg Gillespie's map. There you go. He's got the OG.
Okay. Wow. Wilderness outdoor survival.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Is that the original one, Rob?
Yep. The shitty game.
Is it?
It really is. It's a terrible
But
game.
the map is something else. And
Okay.
of course, I have my green screen. Let me turn off.
Yeah, it looks like it's got holes in it now. It's funny.
Hold on. I'll turn off my green screen. Virtual back.
There you go.
But there. Oh, that's.
Yes, and Greg sets all his mega dungeons. That swamp in the bottom left, that's where Barrel Maze is.
And I have, and if you want a, one that looks like it's done for an RPG, I have a version of it.
Mhm.
I drew
And
it
that
out.
desert
It's
in the
like
middle-
widely distributed. That along with
the middle
one
is
that-
Forbidden Caverns of Archaea. That's where that's set. So yeah, it's.
Oh shit.
He's still got two more mega dungeons sitting there. We want to do 6 in total, so he's got 2 more.
The River Mount is set. It uses this.
Oh, I
Really?
didn't know
I'm
that.
looking-
Really?
I'm
Oh, that's
looking at
interesting.
Greg
Here's the
Nardi, yeah.
River Mount map.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I just did a quick Google search and I pulled it up off of Grognardia's site. He has it.
That's why I just linked in the.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was. He said, "Hey, Rob, I'd use the outdoor survival map. Would you be all right if I use your map?" Sure. And he had me draw it. And
Wow.
but yeah. So and if you look in book 3 of the OD&D, it tells you how to convert
Mhm.
all these symbols into layers and settlements and.
Because once again, everybody had the same items back then. Everybody had a copy of Outdoor Survival laying around the house. And so,
Yeah.
let's pull that map out.
Yep. This was published in, I think.
It's such random shit that went into the game design. I mean, look back when Gary says we got to create some monsters. I got this bag of Chinese plastic monsters. Let's stat them up, right? I mean, it's shit
Right.
like that. And now we have Boulay or whatever the hell. It's just random. My God, the development of the game is such random chance. And here we are, still playing and loving it. To this day.
Well,
Yeah, I'll give Eric a link to my map.
Okay. But the boulet though was what was it? It was a dime store item that was found.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Rust Monster, the Boulay, the Owlbear, those all came out of those dime store monsters that I think you can still find them somewhere, but they're still being published somewhere. But yeah, it's
Amazing. Here we are still playing it. I mean, goddamn, 50 years later for some of us, right? Shit.
Yeah.
Still
All
alive.
right, Eric, here is the link.
but going back to 2E versus 1E, that was one of the reasons when we switched to 2E, because even as kids we realized the game design of 1E was really wonky. It just Yeah, it was just there was just so many holes in it and so many ways. And so when 2E came out and they said, yeah, this does this now. This does this. Here's what it does. This is exactly what the spell does. This is what the spell like, oh, that's what we wanted all these years. So you talk about your brother,
Dude,
Joe.
you just didn't speak High Gygaxian well enough. You needed a refresher course.
Well, so I played with both my brothers. One's 3 years younger than me, Rob, and the other one's 7 years younger than me, my brother Matt. And we played for years and years. And we, because you said that you guys yell at each other, fight. We are absolutely simpatico at this point because we would play together for almost 50 years. And so we sit there and we have played these scenarios out so often in real life that we don't fight about stuff anymore. As a matter of fact, we'll bring up a rule, and if somebody at the table wants to argue with us, we'll just basically tell them, nope. Because here's why. We have been doing this we have argued this rule for 40 freaking years, and this is the best way it works. Just trust us on this. Trust us. We played D&D together since 1978. This is how the rules should work. And that eliminates a lot of, so that's how we would get through stuff. We would just, hash it out among all three of us. And we almost had fist fights a few nights because, that rule doesn't work like that. Yes, it does. I'm the DM and it works like that. But bullshit, and we would get, it would get heated, but that had a purpose because now here we are in, the 2023, and we're like, okay, we already fought that war back in 1993. We know how the world works now. This is the best way for it to work, and that was what was great about 2E because we had actually house ruled a lot of stuff just to get through 1E, and so then 2E is like, oh, here's here it is, and we're going to explain a little better. We're like, well, that's how we do it. We do it ourselves like that anyway, so it makes sense. 2E got a lot. I think 2E got a lot of hate because it was the first. The game was very commercialized, and there was the first commercialization of the game. As popular as 1E was, it wasn't commercialized to the extent that 2E was in terms of, advertisements and just everything that went into like basically just pushing that game and all the splat book shit and just the supplements and endless supplements, and of course all the novels were pretty much written at the beginning of 2E except the Dragonlance stuff, but after that you had the first series was Moonshae, and that was right when they released Forgotten Realms, and so then from then on you had 10 straight years of 10-15 Forgotten Realms books every year. I think a lot of people resented that and didn't like that whole commercialization of it. And then plus just the whole fact that it looked like, basically they dumped Gary Gygax and then they took his game world away. And now we have this other world called Forgotten Realms because we don't care about Greyhawk anymore. And, so there was a lot of emotions in that too, I'm sure.
I still don't get why Wizards of the Coast doesn't do something with Greyhawk. I really don't. There's no animosity. They own the rights. There's a lot of fans. It seems like a no-brainer. You could probably hire somebody like Joe Block or whatever to go in there, and he probably has it written anyway. It's easy. Just put it out, for God's sakes. It's easier. It's an easier give than something like Planescape, I think. Because there's not much change.
This is what I always say to that, Joe, and this what I would say is, do you really want WotC at this point to handle Greyhawk? I don't want him within 2,000 miles of Greyhawk. I wish they would just forget they even own it and never do anything with it, rather than see it just absolutely destroyed it. Just messed up by those idiots in WotC right now.
I know, that's the other side of it.
I'd really give it to Rob and Joe Block and have Rob Conley and Joe Block there, but they're not going to do that. They're going to have.
I redrew the map, folks.
There you go.
I didn't draw it in my style. I deliberately went in and with the help of forgive me, I forgot his name, but I did a digital version and he did a bitmap version, and so you could take the version I posted and scale it, make it equal to the side of your house, and it'll be crystal clear.
Wow. But Rob, thou shalt not mess with Darlene's shit. That's the only thing there. Come on.
It wasn't about messing with her. It was about, getting a clean copy of what she did.
Yeah. Hey, has she ever gone to the con, North Texas?
Yeah, she comes every year. She'll be here.
Oh, nice.
Very sweet lady. Very, very nice. We're actually going to try to raise some money for her. She's trying to raise money to save her house, and we're going to auction a couple of her items in the auction. And
that's cool.
And we actually have some really good Darlene memorabilia this year. We have the proof she did for the sword, the Amber Sword of World's End. It's her entire art, all the artwork she did for that project. We have it all in a box. that Doug actually bought it at Paul Stormberg auction about 12 years ago, and we're going to auction that off and give her half the proceeds. We've got some really good Darlene memorabilia this time. So
that's cool,
and she's really sweet. She's very
She really is a sweetheart.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Glad. God, hey,
Well,
that's a good show.
Yeah, no,
That's a rambly, long show.
I can't wait to see you guys. I
the
can't wait to
fact
see you
that
guys in less than a week.
22
You'll have to
people.
wait until fall to see me.
All right.
Oh, Rob, come on, man.
People still watching. Holy shit.
22 people.
So
still-
I'm going to call you biased, Mike, because
Uh-oh.
you got all the hots for Ogre and stuff, but why aren't you giving BattleTech any love?
Oh, so we
other
run
game.
BattleTech. Okay, so Friday night's BattleTech night at the convention. Gary and them run this gigantic BattleTech game. They get completely loaded drunk. By the end of the game, nobody knows what's going on. And so we love BattleTech. I don't like BattleTech personally because I don't think it's a role playing game, but it has
its own
board game.
Too mech warrior-y, too mech.
It's in its own boardroom right now, right? Isn't it like?
Yeah, they have their own boardroom. We respect the history of BattleTech at our convention. No, it's a
piloting mechs, man. That's where it's at.
Eric's
No,
like, God damn it, we were almost done with this live stream.
Listen,
and Rob brought up
Rob, you come and you would go to the Friday night BattleTech game. You would have a ball.
Stomp.
Listen,
Oh, dear.
I have battle droids. All right, I have BattleTech before it was BattleTech when they got served by Lucas, and it's like we own droids. You can't be droid. When you had to like, I had BattleTech. You had to like when you got paper sheets and you had to like take like your cereal box and take Elmer's glue and glue the sheets to the cardboard because you weren't getting cardboard standard.
Yeah, they folded over. They had little plastic clippies.
They didn't even have that because it was paper. It wasn't even cardboard. They expected you to make your own cardboard. It was Battle Droids sucked.
Also, they were like Steve Jackson game Cardboard Heroes. So.
No, not even that. It was colored paper. Okay, that was like glossy. It went. Whoop. It didn't stand up. You had to reinforce it. It was very amateur, I gotta say. Mike, do you have any tickets we might make it?
Yes, we have tickets. We plan on I think we have room for anywhere from 30 to 50 walk-ups. But like I said, we usually have about 40 people don't show up. So add that. Plus we'll have some, we usually go 20 to 30, maybe a little more walk-ups. You'll be fine if you walk up. There'll be things to do. We have more games this year than any other year. We have way more games than any other year. So that's helpful too.
Hey, what's the food situation like?
We got the whiskey tasting again this year.
Oh, boy.
Chris Dodgel's helping us with that again. So maybe we can get Joe in there. We need to see if we can get Joe in there. I think we have a couple of open tickets. So we need to see if we can.
All right. I'm in.
I don't know if you like whiskey. Do you like whiskey at all?
I'm a rum guy, but I like I like get a buzz. So, if whatever the means, it doesn't really matter. What I mean?
Now, I have a very serious question about the con. Do you have any LARPs for Joe to play?
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
I am not dressed.
We do not do LARPs. But the LARPs are for boating here. So.
Yeah. No costume parades. No, nothing like that.
So true story about year 5. We were switching hotels, and we started going to Dallas and looking for a bigger hotel. We eventually decided to stay near DFW Airport, but we went and looked at some hotels. And one place we went to, pretty nice hotels, a little older, on the west side of Dallas, and we go there and they meet with us, but they're real nervous and acting real weird. And it's like about 3 women, and they're just being real fidgety and weird. And we're doing our pitch. We do this, so we can bring you this many people and this and that, and then after they talked to us for a while, they like relaxed and like, they're like whatever. And so then they liked us, and they're taking us to lunch and everything. We said, what's up? And they said, well, we just wanted to make sure you weren't a LARPing convention.
Oh, good God.
What happened? They said, well, let's just say a couple of years ago we had a vampire LARP here, and the police were called, and it got really bad. They said we had some real issues, and they told us some of the stories, and it's as bad as you'd imagine. There's basically vampires having sex in the pool, and just knocking on random doors because they got lost and drunk at night.
Vampires down there, down. Not as low as the furries.
So you know how those LARPers are. Those LARPers get out of control. You know that. You know that, Rob. You know how they are. They're uncontrollable. So.
Yeah,
what they do, that we were a tabletop game convention, mostly men 40 or older. They were fine. Like, okay, no LARPing. No, we don't do LARPing. Oh, okay, you don't dress up. No, we don't do any dress ups. And they're like, okay, well, you wouldn't believe the convention we had. Then, like I said, they told us about 10 stories. We're like, holy shit, we need to go to a vampire LARP. We're like, we need to go to these things. This sounds like fun, man. They're partying at that, and so yes, no, we try to stay away. The LARPing for some reason, has a bad reputation in some areas, so we try to stay away from it.
Well, LARPing involves live action, and doing a sport in the hallways of a hotel is generally not a good idea. That's why we use campgrounds ourselves.
So when they have sex at Rob's LARP, it's in a campground. It's not in a hotel. That was one of the stories too. Is that somebody went to get ice at 3 a.m. and two people were having sex in the hallway at the. I was like, well, that could happen. That doesn't have to be I'm thinking to myself, that doesn't have to be a LARP. That could be a lawnmower convention. I mean, God knows what goes on at some of those things. So I was at a hotel once that believe it or not, a speedboat convention. And those guys were out of control. I mean, absolutely out of control. You could tell that was the only time of the year they got away from their wives and kids. And oh my God, it was like they had karaoke till like 4 a.m. We could hear it all through the hotel. And it was awful. So it's not just, it's not LARPs. I'm having fun with you, but it's just any kind of thing like that where people get out. And
it's riskier in Texas too. If Texans, I would imagine, saw a few guys walking down the street with swords, there'd be guns pulled out, and shots fired. And,
Joe, I kid you not. Swords are legal in Texas.
Swords
are absolutely legal in
swords,
Texas.
So.
You can carry a sword in Texas. It's legal. Blades 18 inches or older or longer are absolutely 100% legal. You're fine.
Well, I'm glad they don't discriminate on the weapon when it comes to open carry. Then.
No. And then there's a whole contingent of gun owners in Texas that carry musket weapons because they I don't know why so they'll go to the Capitol and they all have the muskets with the bayonets on them and they're marching around and so musket weapons and swords are absolutely legal in Texas. You're fine. Bring your muskets, bring your swords.
I guess
an extra bag.
I guess they're a little slow on the uptake.
I'm bringing extra bags for bringing back all the stuff I buy while I'm there. I'm looking forward to.
Oh, dude! All the vendors are going to be great. There's amazing stuff there.
We went off the mapping paper. We're rolling random hexes now.
We're in Rivermount territory.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We're somewhere in Rivermount.
Have we been demonetized yet?
Yes.
What?
Yes,
why?
I have no idea.
Probably
I don't know if even cursed. I don't know if anybody even cursed.
I think I did. I think we dropped the N word too, not the bad N, the other N word.
The Yahtzee.
Yeah, I think we dropped the. We were talking about something, and I think we dropped the N word.
But you know what? If it makes you feel any better, last week with Phil Reed, we were also limited monetization. Wednesday with Levi and Jeff, limited.
You guys were good though. You didn't swear once.
Yeah, we didn't say anything. Levi and
Jeff Jones is a guest on Talking Crit, limited.
The hell?
I guess on the April 28th, RPG Live, limited.
What? This didn't make sense.
Luke Gygax, that was limited for ad suitability.
What?
But it looks like usually I was blaming it on Matt Jackson because like every RPG, you know the ones that weren't limited, the Shadow Dark ones. So the live plays were good.
Oh shit!
Figure that one out.
Oh shit! I can't. I really can't.
It was pretend violence, but there was a lot more violence on that one than any of our shows.
Yeah. Well,
could it be copyright related things?
How? No. The copyright stuff only comes up if you're playing audio clips. So I could play the Honor Among Thieves trailer from start to finish and keep the volume off, and I'll never get hit with a strike.
Huh.
That's why when you watch these YouTube videos and they review stuff, and they just talk over something that has a random YouTube soundtrack. That's yeah, I got my YouTube album music playing over XYZ because it's the sound that gets you.
Okay.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Go figure that out.
We had nothing like that going though. I don't understand today. I don't get it.
Yeah, Matt. It isn't you.
Matt here?
He's in the chat.
What the hell? Where you been, motherfucker? What the hell?
Matt,
Look
you
at me.
can't come in
I
now.
had to work for you. I had to fill in your spot. What's going on, man? Come on.
Yeah, he's brought a
You
ladder and
didn't fill in
everything.
his spot though. You said, "Hey, AD&D 2E, go."
Yeah, amen. Yeah.
The
Well, I
opposite
mean,
of
it's
that.
not my fault. He didn't say what he wanted me to do. I just popped
Well,
in. So
You know what it is?
I have my own agenda.
He lacked the courage of his convictions. He didn't have the balls to show up and argue that 2E was a bad system. That's what it is. He was cowarded. Pussy. He chickened out. What can I say?
Yeah. Instead, we talked about what a kick-ass system 2E was.
I know.
So there you go.
No, he couldn't take the heat, so he just didn't even bother showing up in the kitchen.
There you go. He checked out.
Boom.
Found himself a ladder.
Yeah. You working, man, or what's up? I thought you had the night off or something.
He's
If there's a
taking
market for
taking a
sounds of
pee break.
gaming, sure.
There's a market. It's limited though.
There's Led Zeppelin 3. I mean, you don't need Led
I
Zeppelin.
Yeah,
mean,
you
with
got the
face to face,
soundtrack.
it's kind of hard to do. I mean, sure, you can play it on your phone, but it's not exactly amicable. In Roll20, it's a lot easier, but
Yeah.
Every time we play music in a game, somebody says turn that shit off. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to talk, and then you got I had this really annoying bar that joined the party, and so he plays AC/DC songs. So he plays like Thunderstruck and a whole lot of Rosie. Because I'll say, okay, well you walk into the bar and here's what you hear, and I play, and so they think it's fun for like the first minute. They're like, okay, turn that shit off. I can't hear anything.
Yeah.
And so
Actually, the
for
best
about a
DM
minute, they're going, "Oh, that's awesome."
When I was young,
AC/DC.
I'm sorry. When I was
turn
young,
off
there was
the
a
album.
DM who effectively used sound, and all he had was a tape deck and a cassette recorder.
Oh.
Wow.
But he nailed it.
God
Not sure
bless.
what it might have been a Call of Cthulhu game.
I ran an old Bard campaign once, and I don't know, it lasted a few months. It was more fun and drunk fun than anything else because we were watching that cartoon Metalocalypse. Remember that thing? That was pretty freaking funny. Death Clock and all that. And I just had this idea of running an old style D&D campaign based on like bards. Everybody's a bard, but in the vein of Josie and the Pussycats, where the band went on the road and they always got into trouble or adventures. And so the bard, the old band of the whole group of bards would go from in Waterdeep playing from bar to bar and get sucked into adventures or something like that. And it was kind of fun for a while.
Sounds like a great premise, actually. I like it.
It was interesting, and I had a whole rule set devoted to how do you get laid because it was like, we're talking Led Zeppelin, we were,
Well, I'll share one thing though. So in my Tuesday game, by and large, Joe and the rest of the guys, they think things through. But I managed to turn them into raving lunatics, ready to kill everything on sight. Yeah. And what happened was they were in this fairy-based module. I actually adapted UK1, Beyond the Crystal Cave. And I noticed they do limericks and other stuff. So I tried to give ChatGPT a run with have them like I program a response. Okay, give me a response in I am.
Should we wrap up? Now's the time.
But it just drove the party. I never seen anything quite like that, but it just drove them batshit insane.
I think we were all just annoyed at the limericks and the rhyme, and then they started contradicting themselves. We're trying to decipher the clue, and then we had 4 or 5 little leprechauns arguing amongst each other about which is accurate. And then Tim, I think, was the first one to pull the plug on that bullshit. He says, "I'm just swinging," and we all gleefully joined in.
There
That
you
was
go.
it.
Always
Well, you didn't respond well to the Green Man either, and he was
No.
responding in iambic pentameter.
Yeah, he was just another obstacle.
Pentameter.
So you years and years ago, I had a God. This is Blogspot at the beginning. I reviewed modules and I did like my 10 favorites and my whatever. Beyond the Crystal Cave was one of my 10 most unfavorites, and I gave it a really negative review because
I will never run it again.
It's
not because of what the party did.
Yeah.
It's just structurally, it just sucks ass.
It's terrible, and so I had so many people agree with me. I think it was one number. It might have been my number one most hated module or whatever. First, and everybody, I got so much support for that. Like everybody, oh yeah, that thing was terrible because there's. If you play it properly, there should be no conflict in the entire module. You could solve everything there by talking, and so you'd have a character go through the module and never swing a sword if you played it properly and didn't find anything and just basically, and that's not the kind of D&D I like to play.
No. Well, there's not even role playing conflict. It's just it's just cliched.
Yeah. I will challenge that that assertion, Mike, and I will throw down with 2 words: Forest Oracle.
That's a terrible module, and I've seen that appears on a lot of 10 worst lists because it's just written. It's written very badly. It's just written badly. It has. I would say that the one thing about Forest Oracle, it has good artwork in it because I think it was the. I can't remember who did the artwork, so it doesn't have terrible artwork, but yeah, it's a. I have my friend John Lyle says that he thinks it's the worst module I've ever read.
I
agree.
So
I think it's bad. It's really bad. You know, actually, I had Temple of Elemental Evil on my list because
really.
Well, here's the reason: is because it's very limited in what it does in terms of every map is a complete set of graph paper mapped all the way to the edges of graph paper. It's very limited. It's very goofball in that regard. It doesn't. It doesn't like if you look at a Janelle Jaquays module, there's up and around and below, and there's different levels, and it's nothing. She would never sit there and take just a sheet of graph paper and draw a square around the inside and then just draw a module. Now that was my problem. Is wow, it's amazing that everything fits in this one graph paper square. Isn't that cool? You know, so I didn't like that artificiality of the module that everything fit into one little sheet of graph paper. And I thought the whole conflict didn't make any sense of, well, there's the earth and the air. That would have never happened. There were some parties, there were some groups in there that were way more powerful than other groups. They would have never had some long-lasting conflict where nobody could ever take over the temple.
I was just curious, how did you rate N3, Destiny of King? That's one of my guilty pleasures.
I think that's kind of, what's interesting about Destiny of Kings, it's neither fair. It's very different. It's not really... it's more like it's very Harnish. It's like a Harn module. It's not really because I think the monster in there, I want to say the monsters are just like, there's no monsters, right? It's just bandits. I don't think there's any non-human creatures.
Yes, the heir was kidnapped. The king dies and the king's brother's trying to free the throne. Yes, I loved that module and I ran it several times.
I wasn't
changing the names of the.
I didn't think it was. I thought it was a good adventure, but I didn't think it was a good D&D module because it doesn't have any monsters. There's no monsters in it. It's something you can run, but you can run it for hard. You can run it for a lot of systems because it's just a good adventure. But it's not a good.
Well,
D&D
if you
module.
think D&D is just nothing but kicking the door down, killing monsters, and taking shit.
It's about orcs, baby. It's about orcs and kobolds and all kinds of crazy stuff. But like I said, I didn't think it was bad adventure. Just I don't think it was a very good D&D adventure. So. I need to dig out my list of my 10 worst, 10 best list. I need to dig those out again sometime because I think one of my worst was the Judges Guild module beneath the Storm Giants.
Oh God, that's
Storm
terrible.
Giant Castle, which is just it's awful. It's freaking horrible.
I believe Satan's the final boss or something.
Yeah, Satan's the boss. Yeah, actual Satan is the boss. Yeah, it's terrible. And I remember a review I read of it years ago, which is hilarious. It's called Underneath the Storm Giant's Castle. There's not one storm giant in the module. There's no storm giants. Because what's underneath the storm giant's castle? You're not running into any storm giants. It's
you know what module I got mileage of? Looking it up. C3, Lost Island of Castamere. Because you know why? Because invariably the party could take or leave the actual content of the module, but invariably they discover how the portals work. And not only that, they would take the time. They would literally, one of the few times, they would just take the downtime to figure out how to enchant new I had rules on how you could disenchant those portals and reset them up. So I had at least 2 groups go in there. I ran it, like a 15 years apart, but uh, they would figure out how to portal, save up their money, start disassembling the portal, and they would buy like a building in Verdistan and install the portals and make this crazy ass building that's bigger on the inside than it was on the outside.
But that's why you put Castanamir on some island way far away they could never get back to. So
No, you don't understand. They would figure out how to dismantle the entrance portal, take the entrance portal with them, and install the entrance portal and fit in
smart
Verdistan
group ever there.
And then they would, also they would rearrange the building itself to make the layout more sensible.
That is a lot of work, man. My groups never wanted to work that hard. Jeez.
They were just tickle pink about the portals.
I tell you what, I gotta say, somebody had mentioned the Black Monastery there, which looks like a Swords and Wizardry game, right? Mm-hmm. And so funny, I did a hard drive search just to see if it had ever miraculously appeared on my hard drive at some point in the past. And check this out. I gotta say, this is quite interesting. Share the screen there, Eric. Here's a share, Eric. I will.
Oh, you have it. Nice.
I have it. Not only do I have it, there is a goddamn goblin urinal in here. I swear to God. I just passed it. There is a goblin urinal. There it is. M159. So here you have Where Do the Orcs Take a Shit? It is in there. This is now officially in my top 5 module list because
hold it, Joe. You didn't read that very carefully. You did.
No, I didn't.
It's just a goblin taking a piss in a corner of the room.
They're incorporating taking a bodily function in a module. It's a win for me right there, man.
So let me tell you the story behind Black Monastery. So when Bill Webb was late 70s when he was a kid, his favorite module ever was Teagle Manor. Well, he had a DM that ran this module that was very much basically the guy read Teagle Manor and decided I could do a better version of Teagle Manor called the Black Monastery. And so this module was lost forever because Bill knew him when he was a kid, then lost track of him when he got older. But he'd always talk with this module. Yeah, the Black Monastery is a great module. Years later, he ran into a guy who said, "I know this guy used to play with you," and his name was blankety blank. And Bill was like, "Oh my God, does he have copies of the Black Monastery?" And sure enough, the guy had a copy of the Black Monastery still.
Oh, shit.
And so Bill published that because it was his favorite module growing up, Black Monastery, and that's why it's very Teagle Manor-ish and very, it was basically this guy's this teenager's take on Teagle Manor. So
yeah, I'm looking at the layout, the dungeon levels, and it's very Teagle Manor looking.
Yeah, it's basically a 16-year-old kid redoing Teagle Manor is what it is.
Yeah. What a cool name though. I like it.
It's fun. It's a fun little haunted house.
All right, Rob's gonna do a show and tell. Now's the time before my bladder puts me under the table.
Sorry, I can't find my laminated copy of Teagle Manor.
Rob, you can have it for 2 weeks from today. We have plenty of time to find it. We are going to use this interlude to pull the plug after 2 hours, 32 minutes.
Oh Jesus!
Look how people watching. Can't believe it. They must have just fallen asleep with the thing on still.
What do you mean? We got to cut out. I have all these laminated maps to show. My master collection.
Let's do it.
Huge.
Let's start it. Let's do it. I'm with Rob.
Rob Conley and his never-ending collection. It's like a bag of holding. But
it is. He just is beyond that.
I have one of those. I could pull it out now.
I'm sure you could. If you say you can whip it out, we probably don't need you to whip it out.
Yeah. Whoa. But it's more than a bag of holding. It's the Heward's handy haversack because Rob never really has to leave the seat. He reaches over and pulls out exactly what he wants.
Well, I did with the fantasy trip, so I guess I can.
Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you all, Joe the Lawyer, Bad Mike.
Thanks for letting me on, guys. Let me talk about the con a little bit. So
always.
We'll see you guys, half you guys at the con next week.
Yeah.
Huge thank you to everybody in the live stream. You do make this what it is. Thank you for joining us on the Hex Crawl Sandbox excursion that we proved that you can fall off the edge of the map and keep on going because we were everywhere. Holy shit. Folks, live stream tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Myself, my wife Rach, Gamers Health. Next week, live streams. And you might find
Wednesday night at the con.
Wednesday night, myself, Mike, and a bunch of random mother effers because we do the live stream in one of the main vending rooms and people just come up and join us.
Oh God, we've had Zeb Cook, we've had I mean it's crazy who
Yeah, so you're gonna just see random people joining us. Thursday's the whiskey tasting. We'll have at least my laptop and 2 iPads catching video from that. Friday will be myself and Glenn and anybody and everybody who tries to join us. Gamers Health again that Saturday. We'll do 4 live streams in a row. Probably no live stream on Sunday because I'll be recovering. But you know,
I took Monday off from work too. Just I figured after all that, hell.
Today I come back. I come back on Monday.
Oh yeah, I come back on Sunday afternoon.
Oh no, I can't never leave a con unless it's total con because I'm driving home. If I gotta fly, no, next day. Got to do it that way. All right, folks. As always, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll the dice. Roll them well. Catch you all later.
Bye, y'all.
Later.